Welcome. Oh boy. We're live. We have a very fun show to do. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. Excited for tonight. This is a fun one that we've got tonight. A fun show.
Can't believe we're 2 sleeps away from the draft, man.
Seriously,
I know.
it's absolutely just insane. It's actually here.
My wife's actually, I got a baby on the way, due May 1st, and I'm like, fingers crossed that it doesn't happen on draft night.
Really?
Well, if it's the first round, you got like what 10 minutes between picks. That's like 2 contractions. You're fine.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Good point.
Exactly.
I can't believe we were just talking about that. In draft picks in terms of contractions. All right. Well, where was I? So if you're here, make sure to like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, do the monetization stuff, put comments in the chat. Otherwise, bad things will happen. I have insults prepared. So unless you want the Tyler comedy hour, put questions in the chat. And yeah, this week, very exciting. It's in the the description at the bottom of the show. We have the NFL draft live shows Thursday and Friday. Should be very exciting. Sorry, Ryan. We started without you. I was late too.
Good.
Technology got the best.
Yeah, technology is kind of a little bit of a bitch sometimes.
They said here it's your first time
A
setting
little
up
bit.
your computer. Like, come on now. I've had this computer forever.
Yeah, I will say, and it's what a water we're gonna wade into at the beginning of this show. This is gonna be an interesting one. It's always bad when I start this way. This one is not bad, I don't think. I will say, the people on Twitter or anywhere else.
We're already off to a bad start.
This is not going to be a good one. It's not going to be a good one.
Okay.
It's good for me. I don't really care. The people on Twitter or anywhere else who argue for the wanting to say offensive things. I never get it.
Whoa.
I never get it. I don't get it. Why? Why would people want to be able to say offensive things? I don't really understand. It comes up as someone who gets thousands of notifications a day. It comes up in my timeline often. And I don't always say something about it because if I responded to every offensive thing I saw in my notifications, that would be all I did. I would have nothing else to do. I could have take my whole day to just do that. But I just feel as if, there are certain terms that are, there's certain terms I feel are not things we should say, in today's society. Things I think we've moved a little bit past, things that might have been okay 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Maybe they shouldn't have been. But, they were socially accepted then. And I think rightfully we've moved past some of those things. And I would just suggest that, obviously I try to be fiery and myself on this show, fiery. I try to avoid certain things, especially offensive terms, because there's a reason why this community is not particularly welcoming to anyone different. It's and I say that on a show with 5 white guys. So maybe I'm not helping. Maybe I could work on that. Honestly, I think I could work on that. I've tried, but I definitely could do better. But there's a reason because of some of these things that people who are different don't really feel welcome in the fantasy football community. I just encourage people to realize, especially those of you with larger platforms, that your words have an impact, and maybe just careful what you say.
I love what you're saying, but I think I missed something on Twitter today. Did I miss something?
Well, you didn't miss anything. I made something out of. I chose today to talk about it, but I could have chosen any day. This happens in my Twitter every day. That's it. Patrick just talked about that.
Ultimately, it feels like it's lazy use of the English language. There's so many other words you can use. There's so many other ways to get your point across.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I just think that, we are better than that overall. And I just would encourage, people to do their best. And no one says I'm perfect. I'm not, I said it earlier on Twitter. I'm not the nicest person on planet Earth. I'm on the mean side. I definitely will own it. I am one of the. I'm more mean than nice. I get it. I'm pretty kind, not particularly nice. And it's something I've tried to work on my whole life. It's tough. It's tough when it's not the thing that comes naturally to you.
Plus, you're in New York City, so I mean, come on.
And that's probably part of it. I mean, part of it is I'm from New York City. Like, I wasn't, what I think of as whatever normal, other people probably think of as pretty rude. I promise if there are fantasy questions in the chat, I will talk about them. I do have a show sheet for today. I know Patrick had something he wanted to talk about. We were going to talk about that.
Can I start with the big news of the day, though?
Yes. Why don't
you know exactly what I'm going to say.
I do. Well, why don't you start with
that
that?
stinking Reddit post for Will
Can
Levis.
you explain to the people exactly what? Because I tried to look it up. I was a little confused.
So
I was very as well.
What
so there's
Reddit,
this Reddit
post?
I don't know. The guy's first post, I don't know if you saw, is that the guy that played the Joker is getting recast as the Joker. So apparently he thought that was more important. I saw someone tweet that out. But so apparently this guy knows Will Levis or gal. I don't know.
Who knows? It was anonymous. We have no idea.
So they tweeted out that Will Levis is definitely going number one. I talked to him. He talked to me. And that just started the money rolling in on Will Levis at 40-1. And here we are at 4-1 or 7-1 or whatever we are at now, because the market's ever moving. I still think Bryce Young is locked in number one.
Yes, Bryce is number one.
But this Will Levis team, it just shows you how manipulative the NFL draft markets are for betting.
I've been a big proponent of this for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if Will Levis went 2 or 3 though.
No.
I think I wouldn't be shocked by if he's the second quarterback off the board.
And I think if the Colts move up, that's a legitimate potential too. Yeah, I agree with that.
That the NFL and the drafts are the easiest way to make money gambling. That's a whole nother. Well, Paul,
why don't you tell the people about some money you've made gambling? We want to hear about
I can't gamble on the draft because my state's terrible. But I was in on Trayvon Walker weeks before,
I can't either.
8-1, he was 8 or 9-1 a couple weeks before the draft. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Jags are gonna draft Trayvon Walker," and it happened. And there's so many things I hate my state for that. But Will Levis is gonna be. I don't know. I was gonna emphasize that, but I got nothing. I don't know where he's gonna go. I don't know what's gonna happen. You guys have any predictions for this Thursday night? Because
oh man, I think there's a very real chance that Minnesota trades up for a quarterback.
A lot of smoke there.
I think that's something that is really, really I think that's something that's really possible. Kirk Cousins, they have no commitment to him for the future. 2024, he is a free agent. Why not try to move on to the future? Because I think one of these quarterbacks could fall in this draft. I feel like 3 might go in the top 5, and then one of them might just slip. And I think right now that name for me might be CJ Stroud. And I actually think CJ Stroud could fall all the way down to 10, and the Eagles would trade back with Minnesota, get an extra 2024 first, and then draft.
Do you think that's a little bit of smoke, though? Do you think it's? I stopped kind of listening to the news. I feel like 2 weeks before the draft.
Yeah,
I feel like
there's been a lot. It's been mostly smoke and rumors, but big things happen on draft day. I mean, it just makes sense for the Vikings to do. It does make sense for the Vikings to try to do it. It would just line up. I mean, I would want to keep Kirk Cousins and maybe draft somebody in 2024 instead, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did this. It would it would be logical for them to do. Try to get quarterback the future.
I'm kind of with you. I could see it more in 2024 because that team's still positioned to. I mean, their defense is pretty terrible, but they're still in a position to make a run in a pretty weak NFC still. I mean, you look at all the quarterback landscape; it's all skewed to the AFC. So I feel like Kirk Cousins is good enough to get it done. But if they like a guy like an Anthony Richardson and he falls and they could let him sit for a year behind Kirk Cousins, that might make sense.
Yeah, but hold on, listen to this. So I have a list of quarterbacks here. So it's Sam Howell, Daniel Jones, Desmond Ritter, Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr, Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, and whoever Carolina drafts. One of those quarterbacks is guaranteed a playoff spot.
Sam Howell.
One of them, Sam Howell.
Jordan Love, baby.
One of them is guaranteed a playoff spot. One of them. It's just insane. And then when you look at the AFC side, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, assuming he stays in Baltimore, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, and Rodgers. One of them is guaranteed to miss the playoffs.
That's how skewed
it is. That's how skewed it is right now. It's just absolutely insane. I mean, you can even on the AFC side, Deshaun Watson's on that list too. You can throw Deshaun Watson on there too. He's there. I just didn't put him on that list. He could it's just
Isn't it crazy how far he has fallen? If he didn't even make the list,
he didn't even make my list. I think all those quarterbacks are better than him. To be quite
I was thinking about Deshaun Watson
I don't
earlier
know
today and was like, why is he still as highly ranked in Dynasty valuations?
I just don't get it.
And I didn't have the time today to go through who had higher points per game than he did last year. Because it's pretty abysmal how bad he was.
He was straight up awful.
He was really bad. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett
and people
was
still
an upgrade.
I'd much rather have Kyler coming off an ACL injury than Deshaun Watson, but that's not consensus. I have no idea
I have
why.
Kyler 12 picks apart from Watson in an overall super flex.
I have them back to back with Watson ahead, so I guess I don't agree.
Yeah, no, Deshaun Watson's down at the end of the second for me in a 12-team league.
It's that half a year with the guaranteed half a year missed with the coach who has, those videos out there that people love to meme, and that organization is just in a free fall. So I don't.
Yeah, I have a whole other list of problems with Kyler Murray. The list is very long.
Oh, there's a big list. Oh yeah,
big problem. A big problem. I really feel like the biggest problem is his attitude. A big problem. I think that's a big problem. It doesn't work for me.
From day one, that Dan Patrick interview was like one of the most cringe interviews I've ever seen when he was trying to get him to commit. Are you playing baseball? Are you playing football? If you guys remember that. And it was just it was the most awkward interview. I don't even know why he agreed to the show.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, he has a bunch of problems. I mean, Deshaun Watson has a long list of problems. Yeah. I'd rather go another way. I'd rather have some other someone better as my QB1 in a super flex. I don't really want those guys. Just too many problems. I'm coming in with problems.
I'd rather just wait for wait for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or Tua at that point. I'd rather just wait for one of them.
So it's interesting. I just did a quick check of average fantasy points per games in 2022. And
thank you, Ryan.
Deshaun Watson was sitting there at around 22nd. It's actually further even. It's more than that if you take away the guys that only got a couple starts. But even Carson Wentz had more fantasy points per game than Deshaun Watson, which that's saying something.
So, Ryan, since this is your first time on the show, there's also multiple Ryans, but we'll work with that. It's not other Ryan's first time on the show. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about you? Because I suspect that my audience is not familiar with you at all.
Sure, yeah. I've been kind of in the fantasy industry for a very long time. I did my first draft back in 1995 as a young kid with my pops, and I've been into it and hooked ever since. I've been doing draft write-ups since I was in high school, and actually got a chance to do some consulting work with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, doing some analysis on wide receivers. And just never stuck long-term in the league or doing anything there, but it's stayed a passion with me, and definitely do a lot of draft analysis, and I'll, grade over 100 plus prospects every year and do pretty in-depth deep dives into the film. So definitely love the draft. It's like my favorite time of the year. And yeah, that's kind of a little bit of my background, a little bit of an analytics side, a little bit of a film side, but yeah.
I love that. Yeah, if you're in the chat and you want to ask questions, I do appreciate everyone who does that. I am debating, big debate as to the future of this format. I will say that if there are continuously no questions in the live chat, this show won't be live anymore. So if it'll still exist, but it'll be recorded. I'm going back and forth. a lot of decisions are being made, and we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. I've been busy, if you've noticed on the YouTube channel. I've been busy. I made the Patreon questions show, which I think was very good. I think it was very good. I think it was the best video I've done in a long time. By far. I accomplished a lot in 17 minutes. I think I answered a lot of questions. It was very good. I think it was some of my best, legitimately one of the best. I'm surprised it's been the least viewed of that series because I actually think it's the best one. I think it's the best one. I think it's the one where I covered the most in the least amount of time. So I think it's very efficient. If you're interested in like a nice strategy watch, that one is very good. And then I covered the Jameson Williams and Aaron Rodgers news in short videos. Those were like 5-6 minutes each. And I plan to see more of those. We're going to see more of those with only one long live stream a week. Typically, I blocked out like pretty much everything from Sunday night to like Wednesday morning of like recording anything because we just talk about it on the shows. But now that there's only one long show, expect to see more of that short style content from me. So just look for that. And that's why you need to hit the notifications bell on the channel. Yeah. Okay. I did have some news.
We do have some news.
Yeah. So the first piece of news is about Trey Lance, who apparently the 49ers, they have had many different statements this week about whether they're trading him or not. But what do we think? Do we think Trey Lance is going to be there or not going to be there?
They've got I mean, I don't know if he stays or not, but they have no confidence in him. It's very clear by the transactions they've been doing. It's very clear with everything that's been going on. It's very clear with the reports and the rumors and everything that they don't have confidence in him at all. It's very clear. Like it's like all the offseason reports have been Brock Purdy's the leader for the starting job. And like there was a moment where Brock Purdy, I can't remember, he was at a sporting event and the crowd just crowds would erupt for him like all the time. They're just like the San Francisco 49ers fans clearly want Brock Purdy. The GMs have all said like, yes, we want Brock Purdy. He's going to be our starter. There was even a quote from like John Lynch. I can't remember the exact quote, but it said Brock Purdy's earned the job to start. Like right now it's Purdy's job to lose. And I think they have no confidence anymore in Trey Lance. I would think he would end up being traded, but yeah, he's just not going to start for the 49ers.
Yeah. The video that was him without his brace, giving a big wave to the fans. And that was huge for where his progression has gone from the surgery. And I really like that for him. I like that we're seeing that he's on track.
And the fact that the 49ers are even considering trading Trey Lance shows that they're confident that Brock Purdy will start week 1. Because if they didn't have confidence, Brock Purdy would be starting week 1. Like they have Sam Darnold. Like they're not going to be like aggressive. Like they're going to be fielding calls for Lance if Brock Purdy's not healthy.
I'd rather have Sam Darnold start week 1 if Brock Purdy's not ready than Trey Lance because you keep the offense the same. You're not changing things up for that team in terms of offensive playbook.
My goodness.
I know it's
that's interesting. I mean, that is true.
That's a straight NFL. What is best for business for the NFL? Kyle Shanahan could make Sam Darnold look decent enough, and with that top defense, they'll win week 1.
Can that run game be something special with Trey Lance and McCaffrey though?
No,
it could.
It could. But
I'm a big Trey Lance guy.
I don't trust a guy that's thrown less than 400 like college and NFL passes after multiple years in college and 2 years in the pros.
Well, he really only played 1 full season in college. He didn't really get to play much.
Yeah, the COVID year, and they had that 1 game showcase basically where they got to manufacture games
and he didn't look good
for Trey Lance.
And he didn't look good in that game.
He didn't look No, he did not look great. But I mean, it's only 1 game. You can't really.
He also played FCS.
Yeah,
there's a lot of guys that could have
competition
been made to look really good in FCS that just were terrible in the NFL. I jokingly put Anthony Richardson's stats next to Bernard Robinson's best year at Michigan.
I saw that. That was funny.
And everyone's like,
Patrick was
I definitely would have wanted Bernard Robinson there. But imagine what Bernard Robinson would have done at an FCS school.
He probably would have been pretty good.
Yeah, probably would have been pretty good. Probably would have shown a lot of potential in 1 year and 1 showcase game. Could maybe been picked number 3 overall. And then never made anything in the league.
Yeah, this is not good, man. Ryan, do you want to defend yourself right now?
I look at we talk about a little bit how Trey Lance hasn't thrown that many passes, and I get that piece of it, but I mean Brock Purdy started 5 games, and if you look at the competition he played against in the NFC when he played those 5 games, it's not like he went up against like the most amazing competition, and I feel like he did win the playoff game. I do get that. And I think that's why, to me, if I'm John Lynch, I'm saying exactly what he's saying. He's earned the right to come in and be the starter. He hasn't lost a game. If I'm the GM, though, I'm not moving Lance because, A, UCL injuries are not something that are easily recoverable. So I'm not sold on Brock Purdy to begin with. B, put the injury on top of it. You lose me a little bit. But on top of it, you have a very cheap quarterback room with 2 rookie contracts. So why not run with it? And sorry, I do think that Trey Lance is a much higher ceiling than Sam Darnold. I think we've seen Sam Darnold plenty. Oh, yeah. And it's almost like the Nate Peterman, like enough is enough. Like you've seen him enough, you know what he is.
I don't know if I would say that he's Nathan Peterman.
No, he's not Nate Peterman. No, I agree. But I'm just saying, like, we've seen enough to know that I don't think we're looking at like the next great starter in Sam Darnold, right? I think Trey Lance hasn't necessarily been given that chance. And I think he could be, if you run a power run offense or a team that's predicated on the run, I still think he could be very successful. And if I look at what Kyle Shanahan has done in the past with guys like Robert Griffin, who couldn't read a defense when he came into the NFL, and basically his Baylor offense was counting how many guys are on this side on the field and how many guys are here. Okay, I know where the ball is going to go, and very predicated offense. If he could have success with that and have the Redskins at that time, now Commanders, were, one of the best teams in all of NFL that year. So I feel like Trey Lance still has a very high ceiling. I think his ceiling is actually higher than Brock Purdy's. And I feel like if I'm a GM, I'm looking and I'm round 2. And if the 49ers are looking to move, I would pull the trigger on him in a heartbeat. I still think Trey Lance is a lot of upside and is very raw and just needs that time to develop. But I think that's a great situation for him in San Francisco with Ayuk and Kittle and McCaffrey and Debo, and they're loaded. And I think if he's going to be successful anywhere with that offensive line too, and his ability to just take over a run game, he doesn't have to be the most efficient passer to have that offense humming. So I get the trust in Purdy off of what he's done. I don't think I'd be dealing Lance though.
Yeah, and I want to give Ryan some credit here because as much as I just bash Trey Lance, like I still have him.
You didn't bash Trey Lance.
What?
I wasn't bashing Trey Lance. We didn't, not compared to me.
Yeah, no, you definitely bashed some Trey Lance, but no.
Do the people want it? I can give it to them. Do you go ahead? I'll give it to them.
As much as I do like talk negatively about him, like I still have Trey Lance over Brock Purdy in Dynasty. I still would rather have Trey Lance because obviously, like he was talking about the upside for fantasy purposes specifically and for NFL purposes because of his physical tools, but for fantasy too, it's like the upside is so much more there. With Brock Purdy, you're not getting a running quarterback. And given what we saw in his rookie year, I don't want to say he can't break out and step up, but I just don't see the passing volume or the insane touchdown rate coming for him because that's what he's going to need to be a really successful fantasy quarterback. Like, because he doesn't run and he's not going to get insane amount of passing volume. He's going to need such a high touchdown rate, and we don't know how talented he really is. So Brock Purdy's upside in fantasy is just very little. So I'd still rather have Trey Lance in Dynasty, to Ryan's point. But I just don't have like the only team who have seen because Trey Lance haven't really played many NFL games. The only team that has really seen Trey Lance play is the 49ers. And they have shopped calls. They have fielded calls for him, been looking to trade him, and have said Brock Purdy's the starter after 6 games, and he's a 7th round rookie. Like, if you're willing to do that as an NFL GM, like if you're showing that you're willing to do that, all that, I don't want to trust Trey Lance. It's so clear that they don't trust him. So I don't want to either.
When you trust someone, you don't talk about that you were interested in trading them.
Yeah,
you don't talk about trading them. When you don't talk about trading your starting quarterback, but he's not the starting quarterback. And, we know the problem is that there's really in life, you get a lot of people who have a lot of failure And a lot of people, and I always say this,
Uh-oh.
the problem is that people just reinvest in more failure. And then they get comfortable with failure. You become the Carolina Panthers. You get comfortable with failure. You recycle retreads. We look at the Indianapolis Colts. Years of failure, recycling failure over and over and thinking it would change anything. So the 49ers are going to do something different. There's been a lot of failure, but now they're going to move on to a success. They're going to move on to Brock Purdy, and there's going to be success instead of failure. And there's no heart to that, but I'm doing my best. I'm not wearing my 49ers outfit. I'm wearing my Lions outfit. As the Lions may trade for Trey Lance. That's what I said here. It says it right here. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. But yeah, let me get to a few of these questions. This one I think is the most important. From Coop. He says that you're dropping in to say that you're all current heroes. Well, I don't know about that. I think Twitter would probably say that I'm a villain. But and future legends, I'm already a legend. Thank you. I'm already a legend. I'm past my prime. I don't think I'm a future legend. If I'm not a legend now, I'm not gonna be. I don't know. I think I deserve a spot in my own fantasy football Hall of Fame where I'm the only member. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm my favorite. I always say I'm my favorite fantasy football analyst. Never change, Never change. Nothing has changed since I started doing this in 2019. Nothing has changed. All right. Let's look here. 12 team Superflex start 9 had Fields and Lawrence, and then what? Whatever. Traded Lawrence and Godwin for Lance, 108, 112, 24 first and 205. Trade feels even worse in light of your Lance convo. Well, yeah. Sorry.
Feels light.
It feels very light to me. The value's with Lawrence.
It is, definitely. It is.
Yeah. Definitely.
Just kind of depends on where that 24 first ends up because, 3-1s, yeah, but Lawrence is definitely the centerpiece of that trade. But I don't hate it as much as you guys probably do because I do still believe in Lance.
You could even argue that Godwin. You could even argue that Lawrence and Godwin are the two most valuable pieces of this trade.
Yeah, I like Godwin.
You could argue that. You could argue that.
Apparently, this is true. I've never heard that before. I will say, if you're trading away a premium quarterback in Superflex, though, you don't want to do that. And if you do it,
you better
have to get a good overpay, and this is not an overpay. So we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. Let's see. What do you guys think of running back Roschon Johnson? Well, okay. So I just wrote an article for DLF. I'm gonna post it here. A view from the 101, just coincidentally, it's kind of a view series. This is actually the last one in the series, starting from a 3-round rookie mock, and each article is for the 3 picks. So this article covers the 101, 201, and 301. Coincidentally, obviously Bijan is the 101, but Roschon Johnson just happened to be the 301 in this exercise. I didn't make the ADP. It was a signed pledge, but whatever. So it's interesting to talk about Roschon Johnson in comparison to Bijan Robinson in the same article. I think he's fine. We don't know, to be honest with you, how good he is. We don't know. He actually was decent as a freshman in 2019. He was pretty good. For a freshman to do what he did at a school like Texas, a true freshman is actually very good for Roschon Johnson. The problem is that essentially he was sidelined for the best running back prospect we've seen in years, and he probably should have transferred. And he didn't.
Yeah, he should have.
He should have transferred.
The thing is with Roschon, obviously, we haven't been able to see much of him because of Bijan just taking over, and you can't really blame him there. I mean, it's Bijan. It's Bijan.
You can blame him for not transferring.
You can blame him for not transferring, but when you look at if he's stuck on the team, you can't really blame him because it's Bijan. You can. Not going to work for Roschon.
You can say that it shows a lack of judgment that he didn't transfer. You know,
But at the
it's,
same
it,
time, it shows commitment to
the team.
the state.
I'm mostly
yeah.
talking talent wise. I'm mostly saying like talent wise when you talk about he didn't get to play much, he's not talented. No, it just means that Bijan was just that elite. But Roshan, we saw him in flashes. He did show a lot of flashes. He was pretty good, decently productive with the touches he got. But when I'm watching Roshan on film, he's so physical. He's he's a guy that will take a heavy role in the NFL. He's built for it. But man, this dude has no burst or speed whatsoever. Like there is no burst when it comes to watching him play. Like I noticed no burst off the line of scrimmage, not enough in the NFL. He's going to get destroyed. Like he's going to be somebody that I think he becomes like a grinder kind of back. He can pass catch all right, but with the lack of speed and the lack of burst off the line, I like the NFL defenders are going to be catching him all day. Like he's just not going to be able to get those explosive plays. So I think he's someone that has a very a decent floor if he gets some volume, but very low ceiling. So
I agree with that.
I'm
I feel like
I'm going to be likely mostly out if he doesn't get the draft capital.
Yeah, and I feel like I usually like guys that run sub 4.5 at running back.
Yeah, I want to see some speed and explosive plays.
Yeah, and I don't think you like. There's guys who haven't put up the best 40 times, like a Nick Chubb or things like that in the past that have been very successful. And
we know Nick Chubb was productive.
Exactly, but he was productive, and that's a huge difference to me. So there's guys that are specially productive in college that don't hit that metric that I'm like, all right, I'll make an exception for him. I've seen it on film. I don't see that with Roshan. I don't see him being the most fluid runner. I feel like, you mentioned the point he can be a receiver. They used him a little bit in the screen game, but he didn't exactly run the most in-depth route tree in the whole world when he was used there. And I just don't see the vision either. Like it was a different running back when Bijan was on the field, and obviously he's a special kid, but it's just a little bit different to me with Roshan. I think he'll be a good special teams contributor. I think Hachi nailed it with like that rotational grinder kind of guy that could be your spell your early down back a little bit, but I'm not seeing like that special guy with Roshan. And I'm just taking a quick.
I kind of like how I don't know how much. I'm trying to think of like their sizes. I don't think they're exactly similar size, but kind of like how Brian Robinson is for Washington right now.
That's the name I had.
Like Brian Robinson,
he doesn't even have that. He doesn't have that. No,
he
doesn't have that. Brian Robinson actually took a significant number of carries at some point in college. Roshan Johnson is never.
He did. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm just saying but
they have nothing in common. Like I really don't see a comparison between those two players at all, to be honest with you. Brian Robinson, I think, is someone you can trust with the passing game is weak. I think he could do it, but he landed on a team where it wasn't going to be used that way. No. But as a prospect, I think he's someone you could have trusted with a large workload to not hurt you. Roshan Johnson, I don't care how big he is. He is not prepared. I mean, when you're you come in unprepared. I mean, after 4 years of not having much of a workload in college, I just don't see how it doesn't prepare you to have a large workload at the NFL level. So I just think he's coming in unprepared. Whereas Brian Robinson had his last season, he took a very large workload. He's totally prepared for that. So that's my issue with Roshan Johnson. I preferred Brian Robinson as a prospect last year. And I think I'm going to continue with that preference. For me, Roshan Johnson is fine. I mean, he's one of those players where I'm like, oh, whatever. I mean, he's a whatever player. There's a lot of these in this draft. Him, Israel Abanikanda, Zach Evans, Kendra Miller for me. I don't see it. Whatever. Tank Bigsby. Lately, last 2 years, not a fan. Those players there. The NFL's Sean Tucker, who I just dropped off the map in my rankings.
I feel so bad for that kid.
I feel bad for him. But I can feel bad for him, but I want to win. I want to win. So I don't care. If it sucks, but in terms of Dynasty, I don't care. I want to win. So I want to take the players that are going to help me win. And I understand it's like a tough story and it's been like a kind of a rough road for him. But I also like a lot of those things about him and the heart condition and all that are just rumors. There's a lot of it's very unconfirmed. I mean, people are saying this and it's very suspicious timing. It's coming out like 2 days before the draft. It's kind of suspicious. Let's see where he goes in the NFL draft. I think that's going to decide on Sean Tucker. I don't know. There's a lot of rumors. And rumors, we can't confirm or deny really any of this stuff. I don't have his medical tests. So I don't feel that bad for him. I mean, he's going to be, at the end of the day, he's going to be drafted to play football in the NFL more than likely. So I don't feel so bad for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to be drafted to be a professional in like something that, most people is their dreams. So I don't feel that bad for someone going from the first to the fourth round, if that makes sense.
I like what you said. You said there's a bunch of kind of like just guys that you're fine with. And I feel like that's the case. And I feel like we're trying to push some of these running backs up into a higher tier, just wanting that, running back landscape to get a little better than it's been. And
I agree. I do agree that there's a lot of like mad running backs in this class that the only reason that I'll be drafting them for fantasy is that they get draft capital in the NFL, which I don't know how many I see that for. But I do love when he said Kendrick Miller, I started to laugh because I am personally the biggest Kendrick Miller fan like out there.
There's nothing there. There's really nothing there. I've looked. There's nothing there. There's nothing. It's just a snooze fest. I don't see it. Sorry.
What I worry about with Kendrick Miller is, I want to see more decisiveness when he's hitting the hole because the vision, it's not bad, but it's like it's not what you want to see in a top lead back. So I don't see it from that perspective as like a starter. I think the one thing he does get, and this is kind of interesting when you talk about a fantasy side, is like we're in a time where if you can be a big play explosive running back, and you're in a lot of timeshares in the NFL, if you can be that guy that can be that explosive back that can hit that top gear and have that big play at any time you touch the ball, I think there's some value there. But I just don't see him being like a lead back for a team getting enough volume where he would be relevant. I mean, the three guys that I really like, and it's funny because one of the names that a lot of people like isn't on there, but like obviously Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, and I love CJ Spears. I think he's a special running back, and he's very high. He's my third ranked running back.
Tell me more about that. Tell me more about what allegedly special things he does. I don't see any of that. So tell me more about that.
All right. So what I like about him is I feel like he is scheme agnostic, right? And I saw someone post this and it was a great stat and confirmed it, but like, he had a split of 112 zone carries and 117 gap design carries in 2022. So you're not looking at a guy that's like a system fit. And I feel like if you look at the way he made people miss in the open field and, the routes that he ran in the run in the passing game, I feel like there's enough on tape there for me to be very intrigued. And I think like with the ability to break tackle, the explosiveness, that combination of making people miss in the open field, I feel like other than Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, I feel like he's got the highest ceiling. So I've seen games where, he puts on these like highlight reel plays that intrigue me. And, I don't see that in everybody else in this class. So there's enough there for me to say, hey, like I'd invest the draft capital in him versus like a Kendrick Miller, like you talked about, where I just don't see anything special on tape.
Well, the problem I have with CJ Spears is that if you're going to play in a lower level of competition, that's fine to play in a lower level of competition. What I don't like is that he played 2 years in this lower level of competition. And there was an injury in the second year and the first year. And then it came in year 3. All of a sudden we did something. I don't like that. If you're going to play at a lower level competition, I would like that. I think, you should be able to break out immediately. And then even year 3 was fine, but it wasn't the kind of workload that I'm looking for. And then it took, of course, year 4 playing in the, at Tulane against lesser competition at 21 years old. Of course he ran over everyone. Of course. Of course. He better, if he's even going to be anything in the NFL, you better look like the best running back ever. You better. He did do it. But I worry about that. A little late, for that level of competition. I worry about that late breakout.
A little late, but just a couple other like when I look at running backs, I look at that like that foot speed in that short spaces, and I feel like you can that's where I kind of look at is like who's the elite back and who's not. That's where I worry about someone like a Charbonnet because I don't feel like he has that athleticism. But you look at Spears, and even when he was, if you look at his 4 years of his average yards per carries, he's not getting the volume, but it's 6 yards per carry, 7.4 yards per carry. Then he tore his ACL, 6.7, 6.9. So he's consistently put up solid production, even when he's had that limited production. But I hear you. You didn't see him break out and have that like 100 plus, 200 plus carry season until he got later in his career there. So I do see the piece there, but you got someone that's, at least led the team in rushing for 2 straight years. And I feel like there's enough there for me to like it versus the other guys where I'm like, he's probably just a guy. At least there's something there that I'm seeing that I'm like, okay, that's a unique skill set that these other guys I don't think have.
Well, I didn't include him in the meh group. I mean, he's my RB5. So I don't dislike Tajay Spears.
Yeah, he's my 5 as well. He's right there.
Zach Charbonnet to me is the one that I do like more. Because to me, he essentially what I would say is you just go back to, if I told you, let's say I told you that you were going to make a pick at the 110 in Superflex, which is where Zach Charbonnet is going. And I told you now, you would get 2019 to 2022 of David Montgomery. I told you that's what you were going to get. How does that sound at the 110 in Superflex? Good or bad? Overall, how does that sound?
Sounds pretty good. I'll take it.
Sounds pretty good. Actually, it's actually, looking at the historical hit rate of the 110, that would be
great.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. That would be a very good return.
That'd be good.
That's what Zach Charbonnet is. He's good at everything, elite at nothing. Sound like someone? Sounds like David Montgomery. That's what he is. The same. I mean, the speed is almost the same. Production similar. Playing style similar. What's the difference? Nothing. You're just going back 5 years or whatever, 4 years in youth and taking the younger guy. That's the only difference. They're going to have similar draft capital too. Actually, Charbonnet is going to have better draft capital. Montgomery was a 3rd round pick. I think Charbonnet is going to go in the late second.
Charbonnet's locked in the 2nd round, I think.
I don't think it's locked, but I would bet on the 2nd. I would bet on the late second. And I have seen over and over and over the Cowboys at 58 for Zach Charbonnet. That's been the one that I've seen.
That's a good mix with him with Pollard too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
think
and
Pollard's on the franchise tag
for him.
Pollard's on the franchise tag. If you let Pollard go after that season, like
what I think the plan would be to move Charbonnet along. He'd actually see playing time and then let Pollard walk and replace Pollard with a cheap version of Pollard, which you can get any year in the draft or in free agency. There are a zillion of them. That would be the plan, I think. And I would be fine with that. It's a good offense, a good landing spot. And he would be locked in as my RB3 if he goes there.
Just to direct you guys, you got some good
dynasty too. Even though I love Kendrick Miller, he's my dynasty RB3 because I think he's most locked in to get draft capital over any other. Charbonnet.
Yeah, I
think outside of Gibbs and Bijan, he's the clear-cut guy that is most likely to get round 2 draft capital.
Yeah, I've yet to see a mock with Charbonnet outside the top 75 picks, and I've yet to see a mock with Kendrick Miller inside the top 75 picks.
Spears goes in the 2nd round. Where do you put him?
Oh, well, that would help.
Where other guys go.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where other guys go. I mean, 2nd round ahead of Charbonnet. I mean, let's say Charbonnet goes 58 to Dallas. You're saying what? Spears goes. What do you want? Pick your poison.
I actually think Spears might end up being the 3rd back off the board. That's why I ask. Because I think,
where do you want him to go? Okay, give me a scenario.
What if he goes to the Bengals in the 2nd round?
The Bengals at 60.
That would be.
I'd stick with Charbonnet.
Interesting. No, I like it.
Charbonnet's a far superior prospect. They're not close.
I would agree.
So for me to change my mind, Spears would have to go significantly ahead of him and to probably a spot I like better additionally to change my mind. Charbonnet and Spears are not in. I've always said the guy I have trouble ranking is Devon Achane. That's the one I have trouble with. I don't really. I struggle in where he falls between Charbonnet and Spears. That's what I struggle is where in that area does he fall? That has been a struggle for me. I keep going back and forth on him, to be honest. And I think the draft capital is really going to be. He's a player where the size says no. The size says it's not going to work. The film is good. He looks good. And the stats are there. But the size says no. So the NFL is going to break the tie. on Devon Achane. If he gets second round draft capital, I'm going to be all in. If he falls to late third, early fourth, probably not.
Yeah, and you look at the game against Bama, and that's the one where I started kind of questioning a little bit because I know it's Alabama and everybody didn't look great against Bama. Even Bijan Robinson didn't look amazing against Alabama other than that one catch he had that was deep.
I watched that
along
game
the sideline
for my article on DLF about Devon Achane.
Yeah,
he looked terrible.
He looked terrible, and that's where I worry.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that I'm a Washington Commanders fan, so obviously I have.
I'm so sorry.
It's
I'm very sorry.
But I love what the staff said, and this is how they kind of keyed in on Brian Robinson, was they looked at tape against the best competition and said, how did they look against the best competition? And Brian Robinson's a guy where we talk about, he was mad, but he ended up going in the third round. Part of that is because against good competition, he shined. And I think, I didn't see that with Devon Achane, and I feel like that to me is where I started to have some questions. Is that Bama game really made me take a step back and say, okay, yeah, when he's got a massive hole, he's obviously quick as lightning and he's gonna make a big play, but it's that higher tier competition that's more likely to be what he's going to face in the NFL that had me kind of question mark. Granted, Texas A&M's line wasn't one that's going to match up against Alabama's, but it still made me kind of take that pause and that hesitation and say, okay, maybe the size concerns are legit.
Yeah, I'm also a little bit concerned because he returned a bunch in college, and if the NFL wants to put him in that kind of role, he's going to flop. For fantasy purposes, he could have a good NFL career, but at his size, if the NFL wants to say put him at returner for the success he had at it in college, that'd be a failure for fantasy, as Tyler would say.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, he needs to go somewhere with enough draft capital that says that the NFL team is going to change their running offense to suit him, because he won't work.
Happen. Yeah,
he won't work. Just dropped into an offense. But we'll have to see where he goes.
And I don't think he'll ever be the lead dog. Let me ask you guys a question.
No, because he's not someone that he looks good, but when you watch him play, he plays like his weight. He's not breaking tackles like one-on-one situation.
He did break a tackle. I saw him break one.
I say, yeah, like watching him.
I will say it's as many passes as I saw Darnell Washington catch in all of the highlights that were available.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, like he just like if he's met the line, like he's toast. Like he's just done. He's not pushing the pile. One-on-one situations. One thing I like to
where he did. There was one.
There was maybe one. Yeah, but that's
there
not
was one play. It's better than zero.
It is better than zero, but it's one play. And I like to look for running backs. I love to look at one-on-one situations. When a running back is faced off with one defender, what do they do? Because if they are able to win that, because they're losing those situations often, they're going to get crushed by NFL defenders. They're just going to get
Spears, baby.
But if they're winning those situations, you're going to have a lot of success. Like it's just a lot of success. That's one thing. It's one of the reasons I love Kendrick Miller. Kendrick Miller does not get brought down by one guy. He never does. He's always brought down by a village of defenders. Same thing with CJ Spears. He's always getting around, making moves. Devon Achane, he's brought down so easily on one-on-one situations. I very rarely see him breaking a tackle or getting around a defender. Like it's very rare for me when I see that on film. So that's one of the big reasons I'm worried about Achane.
So Tyler, can I ask you a quick question? Because you brought up a point earlier of this, and you were talking about how like the failure. There's teams that kind of will continue that repeated cycle of failure versus the 49ers going for success with Brock Purdy.
Fantasy managers mostly, but go ahead.
No, and this is it's relevant to this because I'm looking at the chat and I see two questions here. One's on Sky Moore and one's on Garrett Wilson, who's not a failure. But for Sky Moore, they're asking pick 15 this year or Sky Moore, a 10-team super flex, start 10 PPR. What are you doing there?
That's pick 15.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Sky Moore. I mean, what you tell me who it is. I mean, I'd love to hear. Who was the last player? I mean, he played 16 games and was this bad with his kind of draft capital, second round draft capital of his status. Was this horrible and then turned out to be good later?
Terrace Marshall.
What?
I'm lying. Joking.
No, I must have missed that. I must have missed that one. Sorry.
I mean, Sky Moore could just use a better
certain
quarterback.
People thought that Terrace Marshall
could use a better quarterback. Is that what you just said?
Ja'Marr Chase. Certain people thought that. I don't know. Nobody we would know. These are minor details, but players like with Sky Moore's profile always fail. Why would I want him?
Yeah, no, he was overrated as a prospect to begin with, and he was selected to a good offense, and people hyped him up like crazy. He came out his rookie season, showed us nothing except a few muff punts, and now people want him to possibly break out. It's not happening.
I honestly don't think he was that overrated as a prospect. I think
The fantasy community did. I feel like
I think the fantasy community.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think he was overrated once he went to the Chiefs, but actually in the pre-draft process, I don't think he was overrated. I really don't. I think he went to the Chiefs. People moved him up more than they should have, and then he just didn't work out. I mean, players don't work out. Just because someone didn't work out doesn't mean that the fantasy community had it wrong necessarily. I actually think that given his profile, he was valued about fairly, but then people went nuts when he went to the Chiefs, myself somewhat included. And that was a mistake.
Yeah, I snagged a share of him in one league, and it was because he was the Chiefs, and I was just looking at that upside of, hey, Tyreek Hill's leaving, who's going to replace the targets? And there was the hope of the upside was there, even though the floor was pretty low.
Yeah, I personally was just never really. I mean, when we went to Kansas City, it obviously piqued interest, but usually there was a guy in rookie drafts was like, yeah, I'll take them. Like Jahan Dotson, Chris Olave. I was in on those guys over.
Sky Moore was not a bad prospect. Sky
He
Moore.
wasn't a horrible prospect. No,
Sky Moore was actually a good prospect.
He was
Sky
a decent
Moore was a good
prospect.
prospect
He
who didn't
was,
work out.
but when he went to Kansas City, it was just.
He became overvalued, but he was a good prospect. He had 800 receiving yards as a freshman, which is hard to do.
Yeah, very impressive.
And then there was the COVID year, which is made evaluating prospects difficult. And then almost 1,300 yards in year 3. So Sky Moore was a good prospect. Just didn't work out. That's all. This was my article. You can read that.
Can I say one last thing on that before we get to this next?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I think the evaluation of prospects is going to settle back down starting next year. Now that we've gotten a few years out from COVID, I think we'll start to see things balance back out. We won't have these guys that played 4 games one season as freshmen or sophomores or the redshirt year, and it's just gonna. I think we're gonna see things start to settle back down, and I think some people will have some bad habits of filling in the gaps with narratives due to the COVID years, and so that allows for opportunities for us for good talent. What's it called? People with good eyes for talent to really shine through and separate themselves without needing a narrative to drive their analysis.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point because guys that have that production early on in their collegiate careers, like CeeDee Lamb stepped on the field as a freshman for Oklahoma, and immediately you were like, this guy's special.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of the top tier wide receivers kind of have that productivity right out the gate. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good point there.
Yeah, I would just say the COVID year made evaluating a lot of prospects really tough.
Yeah, it did. It made everything really difficult.
It hurt the analytics people more because it's tough to redo your whole analytics model to incorporate the COVID year. There's just no way. There's no real way to do that. I think it pushed people a little bit more toward leaning on film. And I think that we'll be moving back to a more even model moving forward.
Yeah.
I mean, this year, players had 2 years after the COVID year. Yeah, not too worried about it.
The one thing I will say, though, is we used to have in the fantasy community a saying of year 3 is the year that receivers kind of take off, and you'd give them kind of that year 1, year 2 ramp. I think we've kind of had that what have you done for me lately mentality. And if you didn't believe in Sky Moore in the beginning, you definitely are kind of validated here. If you were a believer in Sky Moore, though, and that's your gut, that's your evaluation, is you love him, I could see people sticking with him. And once you get to that pick 15 in this draft, there is that little bit of all right, I could see the talent drop off around there. So I could see where that could be maybe an intrigue if you, again, just were a believer in the talent.
Yeah, and just to play devil's advocate, the Chiefs haven't added tons of wide receivers. It's still Sky Moore's opportunity is still open in this offense if he really wants to take it. I mean, obviously the draft's coming, and you still have DeAndre Hopkins out there. Obviously things could happen, trades could be made, things could be done, but for now, outside Travis Kelce, who is now 33, I believe.
33, yeah.
33?
Will be 34
Like-
before week 4.
This offense is pretty open for Sky Moore to take an opportunity. Just playing devil's advocate there. Like it's
Yeah.
the opportunity there.
Yeah,
But-
okay. He did catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
He did. He did. That was that like wide open. That was like it was he started to come across and then he just cut back and he was just wide open, right?
Yeah. All right.
Awful.
DeAndre Hopkins is coming to the Bills. I maybe. I do. I mean, it's the Bills or the Chiefs for me.
Stephon Diggs or DeAndre Hopkins would be
There's
be insane.
there's news articles out about it right now about the potential for D-Hop to the Bills.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's either Bill. I think I like Tyler what he said. It's either Bills or Chiefs.
I think those are the teams that have been linked to him
Hopkins
from
gonna
the
be ring
start.
chasing.
You're trying to trade me for Garrett Wilson. What should I expect in one quarterback PPR? Well, I'd like the 102 or 103 and 2024 first. How does that sound? Something like that. A lot.
Jahmyr Gibbs or JSN.
Yeah, and
Right,
a 24
kind of one of that
first.
kind of play
Yeah, I
and a
think so.
first.
I think so. I think that's what it's going to take.
I
would need that.
I'd be all right with that.
I'm not going to take less.
Yeah, I would take.
I don't
Players
think-
who
I
well,
don't think
I'm not going to
paying
take
that.
less.
I agree. I wouldn't really take less either than that. That sounds about right.
I mean, players who are drafted in the first round, especially the top 10, and who have a season at a rookie year like his. If you look at that list includes
It's very good players. Yeah.
Jamar Chase is on there, Justin Jefferson is on there,
OBJ,
Julio Jones, AJ Green,
Jalen Waddle,
Jalen Waddle, Larry Fitzgerald.
Devontae Smith. He didn't have
Very good list.
he didn't have as stunner of a rookie year, but he's still an impressive rookie year for wide receiver.
It's a very, very strong list. Very strong. It's a list you want to be on. You want to be on that list. So I would like a lot, please.
Not to mention he's catching passes from Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, and Mike White last year.
You know,
It was so funny that if
and
you
we
look at
didn't even really talk about the Aaron Rodgers trade. I mean, it's one of the things on my list.
Yeah.
I would say.
I mean, we've all assumed Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet for a while.
I talked about it on my video. I would suggest, people go and watch it. It is a good video. I'm trying to get the short video timing right. It's tough for me. It's not really my strength to talk about a topic. I'm good answering questions, but to talk about a topic on a short video is tough for me. But there's a link. Check it out. Tell me if you like it. And you know what? If you don't like it, tell me, because it's easier for me to change how I do those. I'm alone. It's 6 minutes. If you want me to do it in a different style, I can. I can talk like that. Or whatever. Fuck it. Who cares? I can do whatever. I don't give a fuck. It's 6 minutes. If I don't like it, there's another one to go. So just tell me what you like in those videos. I'm really looking for feedback on those. At the end of the day, the format of these long live streams is not going to change that much. They have to be done a certain way, but those short videos, I'm open to a lot more ideas. Thoughts on this trade? I feel like I saw this on Twitter. Maybe not. Maybe it was another Deontay Johnson trade. Well, anyway, 104, 403, and 412 for Deontay Johnson, 24 first, 24 second, and a third. So what do we think about this one? I think it's interesting. 1 QB.
Yeah. I mean, 104, you're likely looking at that tier break after JSN, Gibbs, and Bijan. So you're likely looking at Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, Zach Charbonnet. There's a bit of a tier drop there that you're looking at. I think I want the 24 first side.
I definitely do.
I want the 24
I'm
first
with
side.
you.
Yeah, it's a 24 first, second, and a third for a first, fourth, and a fourth, and then you also get Deontay Johnson with the 24 side. I think that's
Who could be better than what you draft at 1-4?
Yep. Deontay Johnson by himself is better. Could be 104.
yeah.
And that
I wouldn't go
2024.
that far.
I wouldn't go that far either, but it's like
But that 2024 first, you say likely late. All it takes is one bad week in the playoffs, and that's suddenly the 107.
Or an injury to their top guy.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty clearly the Johnson side.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I would agree.
Anyone have something about this? What's your favorite site other than the ones you contribute at to get fantasy advice?
The fantasy footballers are the best fantasy football podcast.
I was going to say that as well.
They're
The fantasy
easily the best.
footballers are my
They're the
favorite.
best.
Or I was going to say a porn site because those are fantasies.
What did we talk about the
Patrick.
last show we did last week? What did we end up talking about? We talked about
Talk about my
something. Okay.
OnlyFans.
We talked about your OnlyFans. No,
OnlyFans.com/Tyler the Fantasy Creator. It's not really
Tyler
there,
the
but
Fantasy
I just
Creator.
wanted you
no,
to
no, no, we talked. No, we did. No, there was. We talked.
Go back
about-
and rewatch the show. Give us
We
another view.
did. We talked about there's something that happened. Oh my God.
I would say
Oh,
the Fantasy Footballers. In terms of other podcasts I listen to, I don't watch a lot of. Actually, I watch no other fantasy football YouTube other than my own. Occasionally, I'll watch Front Yard Fantasy here and there. Not as much without Josh on there. I'm biased towards Josh. Let's see. Oh, Fantasy Pros.
They're
They're
good.
not
Yeah.
the same without Tags.
No.
Tags was Fantasy Pros.
Tags was it.
Yeah, that's something that it's probably been a while since I've talked about this on the show, but like I always have kind of looked up to Tags, even though I'm obviously not as like polished. I never will be as he was. But he actually followed me like the week he got sick. And I was always like, I was looking forward to interacting with him on Twitter, and I never got to. Essentially, he got sick, and then everything happened after that, and I just it put me in kind of a tailspin at the start of that season. It just everything just kind of felt sad.
Yeah, the whole community I feel like got shook by that quite a bit.
That was heartbreaking.
So young too, like so young. No one had a bad word to say about him ever, really.
Yep.
Yeah, he was truly fantastic.
But in terms of other stuff, there's not that much else. I mean, Ray G's stuff is pretty good for rookies.
I'll give you two other ones. Like I'm a huge Josh Norris guy from when he was over in the Roto World side, and now he's at Underdog. I like Josh Norris a lot, and I think Hayden Winks that kind of partners up with him is pretty good. So they're two of the guys that I tend to trust more than a lot of the guys in the industry, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel that. I don't know. Am I considered trusted anymore? I don't even know.
You're trusted. You got a good hit rate.
Do I? I honestly, Whoa.
Hold on. I just saw a notification on Twitter. So, NFL draft analyst at Pro Football Network named Tony Pauline.
I've heard of him.
Yeah,
He's
cool.
He's
He's
legit.
a pretty decent guy. He's a pretty good guy.
He's
The Eagles are making a late push on potentially drafting Jaxon Smith-Njigba.
Wow.
That would be absolutely insanity. And they're at 10. Remember, they're at 10. They absolutely have the power to do it. That would be. I don't think that's the smart pick.
I don't.
Awesome, but it's not the smart pick.
I don't believe it.
I don't really believe that
just
either.
to wrap up on-
There's too many other things.
Just to wrap up on this, I would say Hutch's podcast is very good.
Oh,
I listen to it every once in a while.
thank you.
I think it. Part of the reason I like it is it sounds a lot like how I think I would have sounded. How many years ago?
How old are you, Tyler?
28.
12?
12 years ago.
12 or 11?
12 years ago. Yeah, it does sound a lot like. Honestly, it sounds a lot like me. I've always said that if I was looking for the Tyler replacement, in 10 years, it would definitely be Hutch. Yeah.
Thank you.
Most similar to me of all the people I work with.
Oh.
Although I always say I'm mean, so I don't know if being similar. You're not mean. You're similar in analysis.
I try to be super nice on Twitter, but then people are
I
mean
know.
to me.
I know. People are really mean to you for no reason.
I've gotten so much trolls on my account lately. It's absolutely insane. I get so many trolls. Bro, I live rent free in this one guy's head. Oh my goodness. I think it's Rick James on Twitter. I don't remember his handle. But
That's definitely a fake account too.
Oh yeah. It's a troll account. But dude, every single tweet I put out, like it always says like show more replies on Twitter. And when I see that, I was like, oh, Rick's here, and I click it, and it's always like some stupid comment on my thing. But yeah, I have so many haters on my account. Like, I've even had like DMs that are pretty not nice. Like, because
Well, I have my DMs turned off.
Because my DMs are open. Because I just have my DMs open to everybody. But I mean, I always get like bots like wanting me to do crap or like sugar mommies or whatever. I always get those
Sugar
DMs.
mommies.
I get sugar mommies DMing me all the time, bro. It's so weird. But then I also get like trolls like telling me like I'm an awful like analyst and that I'm really stupid and that I should stop doing what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I'll stop.
I think it's
insane.
I think it's a recognition that we have to recognize what the following means. Because I have 35,000 followers and someone else has 2,000, doesn't mean that I'm 17 times better of a fantasy analyst than them.
All.
And to be honest, I think I'm a lot better than I used to be. I think I used to be a little bit of a talking head. Like, go back to 3 years ago. I think it's funny. I think I actually grew a following, then learned what I was doing to match the following I had. I think I actually had the following first. Like, I don't think I really knew what I was doing until the last couple of years. I think in 2021, when my Patreon really kind of blew up, I learned a lot really fast. And now I actually think I'm good. I think my process is good. But there was a long time where I was like, not just struggling with imposter syndrome. I actually don't think I was the best.
Yeah,
but
it isn't.
Had the following, so just do the best you can.
It's insane. Yeah, I like when I started in the industry. I mean, I've started like over 2 years ago. I tweeted out my first thing in like February, like a couple of years ago. Like, I never played in a single Dynasty League or DFS style format ever when I started doing fantasy content. 2018. Never did it. Never did any of it. I knew nothing about Dynasty at all. I mean, I'd heard of it, but I'd never played in a Dynasty League, never done anything. And I basically like taught myself DFS and Dynasty for that first like year-ish until I've known it. And now I'm in like 6 Dynasty Leagues and I kind of like know it now. But,
I used to say
it's insane. Like, I didn't know enough, but
if you go back to my really early
I'm still
tweets,
learning though.
I used to say I don't really know anything. I'm just kind of a little bit of a talking head, like a little bit of an airhead when it comes to fantasy football. Now I think I really do. I think I learned a lot from spending, now I've probably gone too far the other way. Now I probably lean a little bit insufferable know-it-all. And I get that. I get that feedback from time to time. I've tried to tone down the personality so I don't come off that way. But at the end of the day, like I do have a lot of confidence in what I'm doing. So, I'm just trying to express myself in a more palatable way to people. Because
I think it's really interesting. Like, I've lived on fantasy Twitter for 4 years, maybe 5 years. And I made the switch over to Facebook groups where
I'm so sorry.
Where some people there's a few people that know who I am. But then there's a lot of people that have no clue who I am, the following I have, where I speak, where I share my information, where I've written, what I've done. And it's made me better in the sense of I'm not going to rest on who I am and when before, but make sure that my analysis and my points are strong enough to stand on their own without the backing of a 22,000 follower Twitter account.
Yeah. I'm definitely guilty of that. I'm Tyler, listen to me. Mm-hmm. That's something I do on Twitter, and I know it. But to be honest with you, it's the kind of thing where like it's Twitter. It's Twitter. I mean, what do you want me to do? I get thousands of questions. I literally get thousands of questions. Thousands. What do you want me to do? Write a paragraph for everyone? I mean, that's not going to happen.
I try.
You do, but
I try. I write. I like every answer. I write like at least a couple sentences.
If you traded your notifications feed for mine, you would not be able to.
Oh yeah,
no, literally not possible.
I mean,
Hutch is still in school doing. Right, answer your question in complete sentences. And Tyler's been out of high school for
like
decades, and he's like so funny. One word.
Like it's so funny because I like write a lot of articles with like DLF and stuff, and it's so funny because like a lot of times on Twitter, like I'll write like I'm writing an article, but specifically in text. people make fun of me all the time because I write so formal when I text. Because like especially kids now, like especially kids like today, like no one texts formal at all. It's all like acronyms and all kinds of crap that I don't understand. But I usually text pretty formal, and people make fun of me so much. It's just how I write. It's how I write articles like as a job. Of course, I'm gonna write like this.
My articles are pretty dry. I will say that. They're not like me on Twitter at all. If you read my articles, you would not know that I wrote them. I don't think. I don't think I come across in my articles whatsoever. I think that's fine. I see them as more of
I probably come across as a very like more educated version of me because I'm always like looking at the source, like better ways to say this word. Better ways to say however, better ways to say but, better ways to say a lot. That's what I'm looking up constantly when I'm writing articles because I got no vocabulary whatsoever. It's unbelievable.
I don't know how I really come off, to be honest, but I think I'm a good writer. I think the best thing about my writing is that I turn it in on time, and that it's pretty well written. Not much work for the editors. I don't know. I don't really remember the last time I wrote an article that I felt was like anyone at DLF couldn't have written it. Like the last time I wrote something special. I think it's good, but it's I haven't focused a lot on making my writing like special. I've tried to make it fit the task. And I think that's why DLF has really liked me as a writer. Because I don't put anything weird in there. Maybe that's why they didn't like me as a YouTube person. Because I put a lot of weird stuff in these YouTube shows. Can you imagine? If I did the OnlyFans stuff on someone else's channel. I think that would be the end of them. I think Justin Jefferson and Ja'Marr Chase spoiled us as wide receiver rookies. Yeah, that's not. We have been spoiled for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But the breakout in year 3 it's a talking point and not actually backed in reality.
Oh,
it's not
never
reality
been reality,
anymore.
by the way.
It's not reality.
The closest you have is Devontae Adams, but that's just a matter of the bigger targets left.
It was a reality in the 90s, which is probably predating everyone on this channel. It fell off as the league, as the rule changes changed, the league changed a little bit, and that narrative definitely started to shift. You don't see the year 3 anymore. I mean, it's basically year 2, beginning of year 2, when you know what a guy is.
And
I'm willing to give a pass on the first year
too. You want to see flashes in a rookie. Like if you see nothing, you very rarely see guys come out as rookies and do nothing. Like we're talking about Sky Moore earlier. You rarely see guys come out and do nothing, and then all of a sudden, like in year 2, break out. Like that, like usually you're not coming from nothing with a breakout. There's usually like reason to be excited for a breakout because you've seen flashes in that first season. Like, but Justin Jefferson, Ja'Marr Chase were unbelievable rookies. Like that, those guys that's not going to happen very often ever again.
I mean, I think your guy Devonta Smith is a good example, right? Like he didn't set the world on fire his rookie year, but he had a strong rookie season that certainly flashed almost, over 900 yards, stuff like that.
Yeah,
matters. But like he became a totally different player, And
now he's like,
season.
You could argue he's like a top 12 NFL wide receiver. Like you could argue he's up there. Like he's unbelievable.
I think the biggest thing that we have to look for with these wide receiver breakouts is, well, did they face plant? Did they drop significantly from year 1 to year 2 going into their season? Is face planters, they don't recover. And it's a really
you're only getting better from year 1 to year 2.
It's a really arbitrary measure. So and it even matters for players that are injured or are out for the entire season. Don't recover from face planting. There's just not the sample size for that. And when we talk about failure, as Tyler mentions all the time, we don't want a failure on our teams. But maybe this time, no, not this time. Let someone else make that mistake and then maybe get lucky with hitting the lottery on it. Let someone else do it.
Agreed.
I mean, I feel like Elijah Moore is like the one like
Elijah Moore.
The outlier in this conversation.
I love Elijah Moore so freaking much, man. I was all in on that kid. from since he got out of college. Like, I loved Elijah Moore. I'm so sad.
Was he actually a face planner? Was he a face planner?
No.
He totally face planted in year 2.
No,
I think
year two, yeah. Year one,
going through year 2, but like the pre-draft or the preseason year 1 to preseason year 2, there's a certain arbitrary day that's set for it. Because I think it's a Ryan McDowell stat.
I don't think he face planted. If you're talking about ADP, there's no way because everyone was riding that hype train, me included.
Oh, he shot up.
He was a top 20 wide receiver in my rankings, and he was approaching.
He was top 10 for people.
I was top 10. Well, I mean, that's probably.
He and Javonte Williams truthers were just over there going, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!"
I mean, before Garrett Wilson, he was in my top 15. He was there.
Wow.
He was absolutely there. I was all in. Like, I mean, he just showed everything you wanted to show in a rookie year. Everything. He showed you everything. And you're stepping into year 2. He's going to be the clear number 1 target. Then Garrett Wilson was drafted, and that changed things. But, like, he was still set up for a very successful season. We thought Zach Wilson could break out with his new weapons, and it really didn't pan out that way. And it's just really, really unfortunate that Elijah Moore. Because, like, now Elijah Moore, it's clear that he has attitude problems. Now he's been traded on the rookie contract. Like, usually guys that are traded that early in their career, especially after like that kind of year 2, I just don't think I'm not really in on Elijah Moore anymore, unfortunately.
So I got so much heat on Twitter last year because I had Elijah Moore outside of my top 40. Outside of my top 40, I've never been an Elijah Moore truther. Even coming out of college, he has never been a guy that I've had any interest in. I don't see what everybody else has been seeing at all. And I'm trying to go back to my 2021 board and see where I had him ranked. And I had him at the end of the second round in the real NFL draft. Had guys like Bateman, Kadarius Toney, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Chase, obviously over him.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's just never been a guy that I've been like seeing anything more than a productive slot guy, but nothing special. So I still, you'll see my rankings this year. I'll have him outside the top 40 again.
I love it.
Yeah, I'll be there as well. He won't be relevant to me.
All right. Is this a plug? If it's a plug, I appreciate it. Go check out Mike's work. Yes. Go check out Mike's work. I can never figure out which YouTube chat person goes to which Twitter account. But check out whatever this is. It's always complicated. Has Hurts entered the top 2 Superflex conversation? So what do we think? I mean, we didn't really talk about.
He's knocking on the door, but the door is not open.
I like that.
He's number 2 in my Superflex rankings right now. So the door is wide open.
Still going to take Mahomes, Allen, still going to take them over, still going to take Joe Burrow, but then I'm probably Hurts. And I know I just like the
contract. It's so locked in. Hurts is a fantasy stud with a running ability. He has the elite weapons around him. It's just, he's set up for so much success. I've got him at number 2.
I have no problem with him at number 2. I just like you got to prove it to me more, like a little bit more to get there. But that's how I like, the comment that was made of like knocking on the door, right? I feel like that to me is exactly where he is. He's knocking on the door to that conversation. But I don't fault you for especially as an Eagles fan, you kind of are obligated to put him at 2.
Yeah, I try not to let my bias. I try not to let my bias sink in, but I truly believe that he's the second best. Like, legit on the clock. If Patrick Mahomes is gone, I'm taking Jalen Hurts.
The running helps too.
The running, yeah, that's not Lamar. He's arguably the best running back. Running quarterback. Lamar.
Flip it.
Fields.
What?
You can make an argument for Fields as a runner.
Oh yeah, Fields. Yeah, Fields is gonna be there. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. He's very interesting.
A Godwin or Deontay worth trading away?
Godwin you keep. Especially at his age, like 27. I want to keep Godwin.
These types of questions are always.
But yeah, it's always what?
Depends on what you can get, right?
Yeah. Definitely depends on what you can get.
Josh Norris is a homie. Ryan, you make your bed?
Yeah.
I don't even make
It
my
was
bed.
that one time last year. Everyone, never mind.
Well, yeah, I never let him forget it.
One time.
Love hearing the six. Oh wow.
I do say kid a lot when I could like call prospects. Like I love this kid. Like I always say kid. It's like, yeah, it's interesting. It is.
Oh. Do we
You
need
got to
an
go
eight?
to the next comment because the Twitter account that he dropped in there, I've been interacting with a lot the last couple weeks. Great account and has been just pumping out material. So definitely
Well,
a good follow.
this Twitter
I
account.
don't know if I follow that account. I don't
Well, the
recognize that
Twitter
handle.
account
Let's see.
asked me for a lifeline. Like, can you help me? Sometimes all you
Oh
gotta
yeah,
do
no, Mike. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Mike. We've interacted.
Sometimes
Yeah,
all
I've
you gotta
interacted
do
with
is
him a
ask.
few times lately, actually.
I'm really
I just
not
didn't
a
recognize
bad
that handle.
person. If you ask me for help, I'll often say yes.
Oh yeah, Mike Kosh is awesome. Yeah.
And backs it up. I mean, pumping out content. Like I
Definitely
feel like I've
endorsed
been retweeting a ton of his stuff and it's been good content. So yeah, that's a good plug.
I would say, just if you ask me for help, one day I might ask you for a favor. And when that day comes, I love that movie. I can't do that voice though. I can do a Cookie Monster voice, but no one wants to hear that.
Pass.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. No, I say it. I say it out of, I say it out of the kind of thing where like a lot of people in the industry say it's difficult to get started. I always say, have you asked people in the industry, can you help me? Yeah, some people haven't asked.
Yeah.
If you don't ask, you won't get, right? I mean, that's how the world works.
Seriously, that's it.
You don't ask, you won't get. So
Yeah, it's been interesting. I've actually been able to like. I have had a couple people like reach out to me and say, hey, there was one specifically who was like a fan of me and loved my content. A fan of me. He was like 13 years old. He loved what I did. And he said he wanted to start fantasy sports stuff of his own. And I actually got on the phone with him a few times and like talked about starting a Twitter account and stuff. I think his name is, oh my God. I think he's at the FF Kid on Twitter. So he's been tweeting around for a while now, having fun. But yeah, he was like, I heard someone DM me. I can't remember who showed me him, but he's a fan of me, and I got on the phone with him a few times, and he was really sweet. He was really cool, really cool kid.
And people should take advantage of it. I mean, it's like,
yeah,
Twitter didn't exist. When I wanted to get started back in the day, I was like handwriting a letter to Mel Kiper and like finding an email and like mailing it to like physical mail to ESPN.
How old are you?
I'm getting the high 30s right now, man.
What?
Yeah.
Nah, he's lying. He's capping.
I don't believe that.
That's cap.
30,
I don't believe
37,
that's
man.
cap.
No,
You
no,
look younger
no,
than that, man.
I got
Liar.
baby number 2 on the way. I've been married for over a decade.
Hey, congrats.
What?
Liar.
Yeah, man.
Lucky
You look
you.
That's all my
fantastic.
kids'
Like,
art
you look
up on the
great
wall
for
at
that
the
age.
bottom.
That's insane.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Wait a minute. That painting.
Just the bottom ones, like the.
Oh, I
not
was
the-
gonna say.
No, not the
If
painting.
your kid
He's a savant.
the kid painted this rose painting in the top right, we would need to put your kid on.
Where's your
career path.
mansion? Like,
Yeah, we would
That's
needing
right,
to
that's
visit the
right.
museum. I think that would be a problem, but unfortunately, not. What is that painting? What is that rose? What is
That's
that?
Ernesto Urena. He's a great Native American artist. He does a lot of work with Shepard Fairey. Definitely worth a follow. He does some really nice stuff. He did the Fuji's print up there too.
Wow, you're so lucky. You have all this nice art. I have nothing. Ryan in the background has
Wow,
nothing.
Mexican.
Ryan and I actually have a very similar background. Sitting
I'm
in
working on
gaming
it.
chair. Are we sitting in the same chair?
I don't know.
Very
No,
similar.
no.
If they're not
Very
the same.
similar.
Very similar.
Very
no.
similar.
I need it. I
chairs.
need a new chair.
Yeah, Hutch, you need a chair upgrade, bro.
Oh my God, my
Hutch,
chair.
what the fuck are you sitting on?
It's a chair.
But where's the rest of it?
Give me a second. It's a small ass chair. Hold on, give me a second.
And there's no
It's
back.
gonna be like a folding chair.
How do you sit? How do you sit in that?
Wow.
That's so uncomfortable. That's so bad for your
Oh
back.
no,
It's
it's
so
awful. Oh no, it's awful. I definitely need a new chair.
dumb. You
It's
need a
bad.
new chair. That
Because-
chair is
because
unacceptable.
My room. Here's the thing, because like I don't know, like if people like know this, but like my bedroom's already small. My bedroom's like I don't know, like 10 by 15 kind of space.
Is
Like
it-
it's
is it-
small.
Is it smaller than mine where you can see the back wall right there and I could walk back to it?
Yeah, it's probably about as big as your room. It's probably like it's
Ooh.
a small room, maybe even smaller. It's a small room. Like it really is. My recording studio is in my bedroom. I've cut out like a 7 by 5 space. That's my recording studio. It's where my desk is, where my computer is, where everything is.
That's
So
good stuff.
I don't really have space for like a ginormous chair. So I have this tiny chair, and it does suck. It's a bad chair.
Lucky you,
You can't
cut
even
out
see it.
space and don't
Looks
have
like
a
I'm
bed
just
in
like
the
floating
background.
here.
What?
What's that?
I said, lucky him that he cut out space and doesn't have his bed in the background.
Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
don't make your bed one time, and then there's a big problem ever since then. A big problem.
I can't have a bed in the background. I don't get it. And there's
We
always
might have to
folded-
look into your situation.
There's always
Ryan.
folded laundry on top of it because I never put my laundry in my closet in time. Like my mom always puts my laundry like on the bed folded so she forces me to put it away, but then I just leave it there, and then it's always
What
there.
if
So it's
what
always
if
full of stuff.
what if Ryan's bed isn't actually real? What if it's just a green screen?
It's
Oh,
Dude, you know
Green
what?
screen.
It kind of looks like it can be from the
you know, it
back.
actually
It's
does
funny.
look like a green screen.
Why
And he's
can't I
just
see
fooling
it?
us.
Ryan, I
Why
will
can't I
say
see it?
Your room kind of looks like a little.
Oh, there you
like,
go. Now we got
it
some
looks like
movement.
you're
You
in
touched
prison.
it.
Yeah, you saw the wrinkle.
Doesn't
Yeah.
it kind of look like a prison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I had a room once, a bedroom once without windows. I had no windows and no AC and no air
What kind of
ventilation
bedroom
whatsoever.
was that?
CPS would remove kids for that.
It's like the Harry Potter, like under the stairs.
Like foster homes
It
cannot
wasn't
do
even the
that.
thing. 'Cause
Are
I
you the
shared a
oldest
bedroom-
sibling?
Now it's not a prison.
I am the oldest sibling. I am.
So if that's what you had, I imagine what your siblings had.
No.
they-
Here's the thing. Me and my 2 brothers were sharing a room at the time, and I was like, I want my own room. So it was a ginormous room. So what my parents decided to do was build actually build a wall in the middle of this room, divide it into 2. And the thing is, where they cut it off, I had no windows, I had nothing.
That
So
makes sense.
it got
All
so
right.
hot in that room. It got like when it was summertime, it got so hot that I had to move to my brother's room and sleep on the floor next to the AC because it was too hot in my room to sleep. Like it would reach like 90 degrees, 100 degrees in there. Like it'd be so hot.
I see.
It would be insane. Yeah.
Well,
But yeah, that's
I appreciate this.
my
We do
life.
have a-
My life in bedrooms has been ridiculous. I've had the most ridiculous bedrooms of all time. But
I've only ever had a couple. You know, I had the one.
I've
lived at
in
the
6
same
homes.
place for a
I've
very
lived 6
long
houses I've
time.
lived in.
You know, it's at 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
You got
street.
your address.
People could find me. It's not that hard. I mean, you can find anyone. It's 2023. But I'll make you work for it. I do appreciate this.
Shoot some prompts. Let's go.
Well,
Where you at? Well, Bijan's RB1. If you're not
we
having
have-
Bijan
yeah.
RB1, it's a
So
problem.
I did
Does
have
anyone
other
here not have Bijan RB1?
no, I think everyone does.
Right? Number
I
2
did
is
have-
already
I mean,
just
someone-
preparation. I have Brees
someone-
Hall number 2.
Someone argued with me today that Damian Pierce was worth the 101 and a 24 first.
Oh, that was so funny to watch.
Wait,
Patrick,
what?
I was a
I
little
haven't actually
concerned.
debated that.
I can read you the DMs as he tries to tell me this is a good deal. Yes. I'll send him later,
my
but
God.
I literally go, if this is such a great deal as you're trying to argue with me, why are you offering it to me? Why not just keep him?
That's a good point.
Oh, I
then
hate when
they-
people do that. That's why I don't talk to anyone.
It's the sales pitch.
Yeah.
Well, no, I do talk to people. My one sales pitch is if you accept the trade. I really have a miserable life sometimes. If you accept the trade, it'll give me a little bit of happiness on this miserable day that I'm having.
Oh,
And you would
my
be
God,
stunned
the
how
guilt
much that
trip.
works. You would
The
be
guilt
stunned that
trip.
works, but it does.
I've been working a
Goku.
trade for weeks.
Goku.
I'm gonna send that tonight, and I will DM you
There
if
we
it
go.
works.
Tell me if
There we
it works.
go.
That'd be so fantastic.
This is why this is why I
Oh.
don't play fantasy football as Tyler, because I'll do anything to win. Anything, including that, or whatever it takes. I will say, for most of the times I said that, my life really kind of was miserable. Honestly, I'm doing great now. I'm very happy. It's the first time I've been happy in a long time. But
It's great.
I've been pretty miserable during my time in the fantasy football creation. I mean, COVID and everything and a lot of other stuff. I haven't been so happy. Now I'm doing pretty well. But for
It's
most
that
of the time,
great
it was
milk
true.
bar box I sent you back in the day.
Oh yeah, you did send that, didn't you?
That was a long time ago. Yeah. That was
Wow,
last
I
year,
I
year and a
forgot about that.
half.
Fuck.
Or
Why did you send me that again?
You were having a bad day, man.
Oh,
You were struggling.
Oh my god.
So tried to do a
That's
little
so
pick me
sweet
up.
of you. That's so
that
sweet.
was really nice. That's really nice. Goodness
Totally forgot
gracious.
about that. All right, I have some more things in the news. So Chris Moore signed with the Titans. Nobody cares. The Cowboys picked. So there were some fifth-year options. The Cowboys picked up the fifth-year option on CeeDee Lamb.
Boom.
The Bengals on Joe Burrow and the Vikings on Justin Jefferson. Nobody cares about any of that. Okay.
They must have thought long and hard about that,
Yeah. So we talked about Aaron Rodgers being traded to the Jets. Watch the Tyler video if you want to see more about that. In terms of other news, there was people saw that Odell Beckham assault situation. Did anything ever come out of that? I'm not sure I got the last word.
I looked for more. I've looked for more news the last couple of days. I have not seen anything else like.
I heard a rumor that it wasn't true, so I think we're just mostly moving on from that.
I think so. Yeah.
Unless anything else comes out, I feel like it was just kind of maybe fake news. Honestly,
I feel like the Ravens wouldn't sign him if that's what was going on.
Well, it happened after, but I think it was fake news.
Yeah,
I don't think it actually happened. Okay. In terms of other things, Tom Brady was linked to the Dolphins. Okay, please don't believe that.
No.
Tom Brady's retired.
No.
And then, what'd you say?
I said pick 32 for it.
Huh? Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So there were a couple of the Commanders view Sam Howell as their starter. We know that, but I would not be surprised. Just to touch on that for a second.
If someone falls in this draft,
they're the one team I could see maybe at 16 taking Hendon Hooker.
Ew. Oh no. I would not like.
I actually like Hendon Hooker. I would not like it at 16.
Don't get me wrong. Hendon Hooker's fine. It's not that I hate him as a prospect, but at 16 overall.
I think if they listening to some people that are plugged in with that team, like Logan Paulson and a couple other guys, it does seem like the smoke is real there, that they do like him. But I don't think it would be in the first round. I think if it is in the first round, it's going to be a trade back, or I think you would see it in the second round if he's staring him in the face and pick 216. Then maybe they make that move. I think the like of Sam Howell is legit. I don't think it's a ton of smoke. I think they feel like they look at the rest of that division and what the quarterbacks are being paid, and they're going to pay him $1 million a year for the next 3 years and could build that roster around him. And the way they're constructed with all that expensive D line and Chase Young coming up to and Montez Sweat coming up to, I think they kind of have to build around that cheap quarterback. So I think they like Howell. I think they brought in Brissett as a fallback option in case the wheels fall off the bus. And I think that's what they're going to roll with. I think you'll see them draft Hooker if he's there in the second or third round and staring him in the face, like I said. But other than that, I think you could see them maybe grab like a mid fourth, fifth round guy, developmental prospect to work with and grow with under Bieniemy. But I think that's pretty much the extent of their quarterback search.
I would agree. Yeah, I don't think they're not going to make a move like trade up for a quarterback.
Agreed.
Like, Sam Howell I think Sam Howell will be the starter.
I mean, there've been some rumors of certain there's been rumors of Will Levis falling outside of the top 15 and rumors of Will Levis going number 1 overall. So, we'll find out.
I just saw a tweet while we were streaming that was really, really interesting. Like, it popped up on my feed. It said, what is more likely, Will Levis 101 or Will Levis falls in the second round? And I was like, that is so interesting.
So he's an interesting prospect, and I'll give you guys a good little nugget.
I don't like him.
He grew up in the town next to where I grew up, and he grew up in a town called Madison, Connecticut, and he did not win his high school football starting quarterback job, and he transferred to a private high school, Xavier High School in Middletown, Connecticut. Then he goes to Penn State, doesn't win the starting job there, and transfers. So that's a little bit of a red flag for me. I do know some people there who have coached him even in like youth programs and stuff, funnily enough. And they say great kid and works hard and everything. So checks all those boxes. But I do think he's got a skill set that the NFL is going to like. I think he's going to go higher than Twitter people like him, like all the Twitter analysts that are kind of put in rounds 2, 3, 4. I've been seeing like he's going to be a top 10 pick. He's a guy though that like if Levis, Stroud, obviously I'm not even going to say Bryce Young, but if those two guys, if one of them fell to 16, that's the only way I could picture the Commanders making a move at quarterback. But other than that, I think they're saying put.
Yeah, if Will Levis or CJ Stroud or one of those Richardson fall to 16, that's kind of
CJ Stroud's not going to fall that far. Will
No.
Levis there's so much been going on. I do think though, Will Levis, if he's on the board at 14, New England will take Will Levis.
Oh yeah.
And then Mac Jones will be moving on to another location.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, you could also
don't
see
think
like
that
if the
happens.
Texans, you could also see the Texans if they don't draft a quarterback number 2, if at 12, if Will Levis is sitting there, they'll take him.
The Texans can say they're not going to draft a quarterback at 2.
But they're
all
going
they
to draft a
like.
quarterback.
That's not going to happen.
They're going to draft a quarterback. Yeah.
No, I still think it's going to be simpler than a lot of people think. I really think though that the interesting thing is going to be what happens at 3 with a trade up. What happens? I mean, it's possible quarterbacks go 1 through 4. At the end of the day, Carolina, Houston, and Indianapolis all have nothing. Carolina is going to get the quarterback they want. Houston and Indianapolis have nothing. So it'll just be interesting if Houston or Indianapolis doesn't go for a quarterback.
Oh, Indy has to.
I think Indy's trading up to 2. I think it's going to go. I think you're going to see. I think Levis is going to go 2. I think you're going to see Young go 1. I think you're going to see the Texans and Colts swap picks. I think Levis goes 2. Cardinals get a little tricky, and then I think Houston, if at 4 Will Anderson is there, I think that love is legit, and I think they take him. But I think Will Anderson would be in play at 3 too. Exactly. I think Will Anderson, Tyree Wilson, Jalen Carter, all those guys would be in play for Arizona. They just need so much help on that D line.
I'll believe that Houston doesn't take a quarterback at 2 when it happens. I don't buy it.
Yeah.
When we see a giant trade lit up on our screen, and then you'll believe it, right?
Yeah, I'll believe it.
I mean, it'll make the thing is though, like if they were to like draft Will Anderson and JSN and like other picks like in this year's draft and then crash for Caleb in 2024,
like Caleb.
That's not like an awful strategy because you're gonna get a lot of pieces in this year's draft and you're getting a like a amazing prospect in Caleb Williams, better than any of the prospects in this class.
Yeah, but what happens if they do what they did this year?
Houston, when they won the last game of the year. But, I mean, Houston will lose their entire already small fan base if they tank again.
I love it. Their entire already small fan base.
They're going to lose everything.
It's a proud fan base.
It really is.
Is it really?
The Houston Texans and the Los
they get fiery down there.
Both in that conversation where it's like, there's no fan base. Where are they?
You know what fan base do you think hates Tyler the most? Which fan base do you think comes after me the most?
I'm trying to think about players you hate.
There's one that comes after me more than any other.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think. Well,
maybe the Jets for some reason.
Fan base. Jets fans are crazy salty. Oh my god.
Today and yesterday, yes, but it's not usually the Jets. Because I really love Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall.
Dallas fans?
No, Dallas fans love me. I'm higher than Dak on the most.
Huh.
I love Lamb.
Who are you crazy long? Is it? Oh my goodness! I'm trying to think of like
Steelers. It's gotta be the Steelers.
Ooh, yeah, maybe.
With all that Juju hate over the years.
No,
nope.
Is it Patriots fans?
Nope, it's the Dolphins.
Dolphins. Dolphin fans are
Marina.
Twitter
They're
absolutely
so salty. They're
hates me, which is so odd because I'm higher on Tua than most fantasy analysts. But apparently having Tua anything less than top 5 is not good enough.
Yeah, and if
Dolphins
you have
Twitter lives in hyperbole
as like not the number 1, number 2 receiver in the NFL, they attack you.
I know.
Like they go crazy and they will attack you. Like the Dolphins fans.
So speaking of Tua, he considered retirement but decided to continue playing. That's how I feel every week on the show. I always consider retirement and decide to keep doing the show. You know, so I can relate to his feelings.
God, I want him to retire just for his like long-term health. I know I like cringe watching the Dolphins. It's like so hard for me to watch now.
It's the same.
It's like Jordan Reed when he was tight end for Washington. Like he got so many concussions that I was like, just please retire. Like I don't want to see you deteriorate at 35.
Yeah. All right. We also Jameson Williams was suspended 6 games for violations of the gambling policy. I suggest you watch the video I did on that. I talked about it in detail. It was kind of
Williams.
sad.
Yeah.
I think the rule is stupid.
That rule is, I think that rule is dumb.
Stupid, but-
I think
For
that's
non-NFL
really dumb.
games, it's pretty dumb.
That's the
It
link
is
to the
so
Jameson Williams
dumb.
video right there.
There was also stuff about like their coaches, like assistant coaches, also getting let go from the team in the previous weeks about.
Well, because
The
it wasn't
same
just
stuff.
Jameson Williams. It was a big violation. I mean, there were a lot of different violations.
Yeah, it wasn't. It
I
wasn't.
mean, at that point, just turn off the local Wi-Fi, turn off the team Wi-Fi.
Yeah, they can't catch you. The fantasy footballers mentioned that in their latest episode. They were like telling JMO, don't use the Wi-Fi or they won't catch you. It's like they won't track you.
Use secure
They
VPN or something. Come on, man.
Yeah, seriously. I do. You know, the same thing happens in my school. I turn off Wi-Fi at my school because they can track everything I do on my phone if I turn on the Wi-Fi.
I mean, at
They
that point,
won't- they can track
if
everything.
you're JMO, like he wasn't playing Underdog because Underdog's banned in Michigan for no reason whatsoever. It was fine 2 years ago, and then is no longer fine.
Maybe you should move.
See, I've considered that, but I also live 5 minutes away from the Lake Michigan beaches, and I
Why
get
don't you
free
move to
parking
New York
passes.
City? It's very nice
There's
here.
no beaches in New York City.
You're close to the Jersey Shore.
Oh,
There's no
God.
beaches in-
Jersey
What do you mean there's
Shore.
no beaches in New York City. There are plenty of beaches here.
West
They don't
Michigan,
feel like beaches.
West Michigan.
They
Because
don't
they have a
feel
lot
like
of garbage
beaches.
on them and they're loaded with polluted water. Doesn't mean that they're not beaches.
West Michigan Beach is
There's a
actually
nice
viable.
oil
as an
slick.
ocean.
There's a nice oil slick when you go swimming. It really adds charm to your experience.
You got a glow on your
Charm.
skin.
Literally, I
Oh,
would
New
say.
York,
At
I love
Coney
New
Island,
York. I
there
lived
is
in New
a
York for so
sign
long,
that says,
but, it's so
"Do not swim in the water." People do it anyway, but it says, "Do not swim." Very dangerous water.
good. Oh my goodness.
You know that if
Yeah.
you light the if you like torch portions of the East River, it'll burn. It's that bad. Think about that for a second. That much oil in there.
Yeah, it's insane.
All right.
Man, that's
Top
crazy.
5 running backs in Dynasty.
We were talking about that a little bit, then we
I
got
feel
off
like
track.
we covered
Damian
that.
Pierce.
Damian Pierce, yeah. Top 5, I agree.
Yeah.
Unanimous.
I agree. Damian Pierce. Who else?
Tyler Algier.
Rivera.
Oh, this is fun.
Michael
Every
Carter.
fantasy league I'm in.
Yeah, Super Bowl. Oh, I'll take every fantasy league. I don't
Every
know.
fantasy
I mean,
league
I
I'm
like
in,
the
100
Giants,
billion.
but I care more about fantasy football.
100%.
I mean, for
I
me,
love the Eagles, and my Eagles fan, like my family and friends that are all Eagles fans, will hate me for this, but I will win every fantasy league, and I will love it because I win money, I win bragging rights, and it's just awesome.
I haven't seen one in a very long time for Washington, so I would take
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And I've won
And I
plenty
saw
of
one
leagues,
last
and
year. I
that's
saw
not
one
a.
a few years ago for Philly, so I'm kind of.
Have you seen one in your-
Last
Have
year
you
they
seen one in your lifetime?
I was a very young child in my lifetime when they won, and I remember my dad picking me up on his shoulders. That's the only thing I remember about Washington winning, so I didn't actually get to enjoy it. So
Aw. I've been spoiled. I've had 2 Super Bowls, obviously, in my lifetime.
I've had 2 appearances, 1 win. 2
I
appearances.
guess I do remember the 2000 appearance. I do remember that. I was young, but I remember it.
You're
Late
4.
first Flyers quarterback? What?
1
what is
QB, like late first Flyers in a 1 quarterback
Oh,
league. in a
those are not
rookie draft.
Flyers. I mean, I have my
Yeah, those
rookie
aren't
ranks on
Flyers.
the Patreon. And I would just suggest that we focus on value. In terms of Flyers, I mean, I don't know. I mean, people are, I think, hating on Jalen Hyatt a little bit too much. He's going to get some
Way
draft
too much.
capital. But I would say, though, yes,
I'm a
people are
little
hating
scared
on
of
him, but I do think he, at the end of the day, I'm not sure he's really better than Cedric.
Yeah,
Tillman. I have them very
I'm
close.
scared of him.
I
Yeah,
think,
I'd rather have Cedric Tillman.
I think though,
Definitely.
that people have done a little conflation. Cedric Tillman is underrated and has been going way too low in rookie drafts throughout the whole process.
Yeah, he
But it
has.
doesn't mean necessarily that Jalen Hyatt is bad.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Is this true? Yeah, the first
Mm-hmm.
one's definitely older than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
First few.
There There were no Harry Potter. They were all early 2000s, right? There was none of the 1990s.
No.
None of
The
the
first
90s.
one was in 2001. I think the last one was in what 2009. It might have been even later than that.
Yeah, I think it was later than
First one
2009.
was
I was born in
2001.
06. I was born in 06.
And then the last one,
2011 was the last one.
yep, was the last one.
I was 5. I have not.
Did you ever get into Harry Potter?
No. I was about to say I have not watched all those movies. I've watched a few of them, but I have not watched all those movies.
I feel like it's not your time.
What? Yeah,
It's like not your
there are
time,
plenty
yeah.
of Harry. Oh, there are plenty of like when I tell like people that they like their jaw dropped at me. Like
Really?
tell friends at school. Yeah. Oh yeah, there
I
are some
do
big
feel
Harry Potter.
like Harry Potter.
There's some big Harry Potter fans out there.
Really? Well,
But
I've-
yeah, they're big. Harry
I've
Potter
definitely noticed that most Harry Potter, like big Harry Potter fans that I know, and I would are my age. Not now, obviously, I know a lot of people my age, but honestly, not really.
I'd also
Um,
tend to agree it is a little bit older, but there are plenty of kids my age that are into Harry Potter.
Yeah, I do
Very
think
much.
also there are some issues with Harry Potter that have. If you didn't grow up with it, maybe you didn't go that way because.
Yeah, I don't think I think both my parents weren't allowed to watch it from their parents because like sorcery.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
And then there's
Like, like the
also
religious
some
aspect
of
of
the
it.
things that J.K. Rowling has been saying lately has kind of turned off the
Yeah.
younger, more liberal audience.
Yeah.
But we won't get into that. I've already gone
I've already
and
gone there today.
I've already gone there
Gone
today.
there a little bit too much.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I might have to start a podcast where I just talk about controversial topics. That would be interesting. That would be interesting.
Man.
That would be
I feel like we could come up with like Tyler. Have you seen the meme of if J.K. Rowling had to name a character or a race, and how bad she does? If J.K. Rowling had to name a fantasy analyst, it would be something like owns the
boy.
players, something da da da.
It's not good. It's not good.
Not good.
I would say that, just given everything that's been going on lately, I think people should focus more on how they can treat other people well and focus less on how to make people's lives more difficult. That's what I'll say. Jaxon Smith or Treylon Burks and Deebo Samuel. That's interesting.
12 teams super flex.
I feel like that seems about right.
I was gonna say it feels fair.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not like heavily favored.
I don't really like Deebo Samuel.
I don't. Yeah, Debo's gross to me. I think I would take Smith here though.
Given the
barely.
market value,
if you're
I
forcing
think
me
I
to
would-
take a side,
I think I would take the Burks side if I thought I could get what the market value of Deebo is for him.
Yeah, it's fair.
I don't. I've tried to trade Debo in my league so much. Nobody wants him, man. Nobody wants Debo right now.
I traded him for the 108, and I'm already done.
What?
I'm already done the rookie draft, so I could say who I.
I don't think that's
drafted.
like that strange.
I know, but
drafted
if I try to get that in one of my leagues, I'd be
Yeah.
laughed at.
I
There's
drafted
no
Jordan Addison,
way.
so like I take that.
His
as a win.
ADP says that you can, so it's not that.
I
it's not
know.
wild.
I've tried to trade him for like that kind of deal, and no one's biting. No one's
Ryan,
biting.
maybe you should make a trade with me. I have no players left, but I
you have nothing left.
I did a great job. I think I did the best job.
Just
I
tell
did
him
the
it'll
best
make your
job.
miserable day better, right?
Exactly.
Well,
There you
I'm
go.
gonna
It's
use
accept.
You know what? I'm gonna
know-
send out an offer. Let's go. I'll just try to do Debo for like the 108. Let's see if I can do it.
I think
Wait,
I
was
did
that
a good
one
job.
quarterback or a super flex?
It was
Assuming
a
it's
super flex.
right? Okay. Yes.
Ryan, maybe people will be interested
I would
in
Definitely take that. Let's see what I can do.
Mike White. I'm working on him.
Goody. That's
Yeah,
that's top tier material you're offering.
he's one of the best players on my team. I'm doing well.
I have to
Tyler-
look exactly what that trade was.
Tyler, just wait for this the Tuesday morning switch where I put the best player from your bench into your lineup.
Well, that's a little problem because I currently have 0 running backs. So you'll be unable to put running backs in the running back spot.
Oh, I think I gave a late second as well, Hutch, on top of that. For
Okay.
the
Okay.
108.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm planning on. I don't want to make my rookie picks. I
That's what
want
I
to trade
thought.
them away.
I'll be knocking when that happens.
Yeah, you know me. Well, I like delaying the draft for as long as I like saying, well, the draft will move along after you accept the trade. then the draft will move quickly. But
you
until
combine
then,
that with
not gonna move
it'll make my bad day somewhat better. You combine those two, and it gets it really going.
It really does. I always say the draft will move. It's gonna move at my pace because I always have a lot of picks in every draft I ever do. I love picks. It'll move at my pace until maybe the trade offer is accepted, and then it'll move a little faster.
And then you can always use the line, well, Twitter will agree with you and take your side of the deal.
Well, it usually does. Twitter doesn't usually like my side when I take the picks. So, odds that the Giants trade up?
High.
You think so?
I think they need a wide receiver, and I think they're going to target one. So I feel like it's pretty good that they trade up. I think they're going to need to go after. Well, it depends on what
the thing
board
is,
looks like.
the thing is, the problem is if a couple wide receivers get picked early, they are sitting behind the Chargers and the Ravens. Like those are two teams that are primed to take a wide receiver. If a receiver falls them, there could easily be 4 receivers taken before the Giants pick at 25. That would be brutal for them because they would not be able to take a receiver in the first.
Well,
round.
I think you just nailed it. I think that's why they have to, because I think between those two teams, if they want to address it, now they could also go O-line depending on who falls.
They could,
or even like corner or something. But I do feel like they are in a prime spot to trade up if they want to go wide receiver, because I just think, like you said, the Chargers, they definitely could use one, and the Ravens, I think, are always going to look for weapons right now to try to lock Lamar in long term. So I think that's a good call out, Hutch.
The Giants are on my list of not ideal running back landing spots.
Well, of course not, because Saquon.
No, but ones that if the Giants took a running back in the 3rd round, I would not be surprised.
Especially if they don't want to commit long term to Saquon and pay the money.
Yeah, because they have no backups too behind Saquon. They got like nobody.
At Breida, that's it. Yeah, if they took a running back in the 3rd round, I would not be surprised. Like, if they take someone like Roshan Johnson or Tank Bigsby at 89, wouldn't surprise me at all. Not a good landing spot because they could take that running back and then decide it's just 3rd round pick. They could decide to extend Saquon anyway. It's not a good landing spot. It's not like some of the other ones, like Tony Pollard, who I think if they took a running back would mean Pollard is gone. They could take a running back and extend Saquon anyway. So the Giants are one of the worst landing spots for a running back.
That's
in terms of a wide receiver, I think the Giants will trade up if they think they need to acquire the wide receiver they want at 25. But I think the Giants need a wide receiver 1, like really bad.
And 2.
They do. Yeah, they have Isaiah Hodgins.
No, to me, Darren Waller is there too.
I think he'll be their 1.
Darren Waller can't be a 1 anymore. They need someone who is a 1.
I don't know about that.
He looked washed last year. He looked washed. I mean, I think he doesn't have it. He doesn't have 2020 Darren Waller anymore. Someone like, if Quentin Johnston or Jordan Addison hits, that's the kind of 1 that they're looking for. Darren Waller, I think we're past the point in which Darren Waller can carry an offense. We're past that point. Darren Waller is not the focal point of an offense. He can't do that. But he can be the 2. So, but they need someone like that. They need a Johnston or an Addison type of player. And then they actually have good depth. If that's their 1 and Waller's their 2, they have Wandale, they have Slayton and Hodgins, who are good at times, and they also signed Paris Campbell. They actually have good depth if they can get a 1, but they need a 1 so bad.
Very badly.
So I don't know what they're going to do. I think they're going to do whatever it takes. So I think trading up is a possibility. And in terms of trading up, I think that the Baltimore Ravens are a team that could be interested in trading down. Potentially. The Ravens are a little short. They don't have a 2nd round pick this year. So they could use they're short on picks. The Ravens only have, if I'm reading this correctly, they only have 5 picks in total. Whereas the Giants have, Giants have 10.
Yep.
So if the Giants could use a little bit of draft capital to move up from 25 to 22, I think they could to take Quentin Johnston, who's the player I think they're targeting. He's the one they need. Who fits?
I see you putting players on the trade block.
Sorry, I was like doing the Debo trade, and then I got caught up in Dynasty leagues, and I'm putting players on the trade block.
But anyway, Yeah, I think the Giants absolutely could trade up. I think the Chargers might take a receiver at 21, and then Baltimore can trade down at 22. I really hope Baltimore doesn't end up with a wide receiver in the first round because I'm going to hate whoever goes there.
Oh my goodness.
What happened?
A trade that just came in the comments.
Levis are like, oh, ew. Gross versus gross versus gross.
Levis or Lance?
Two high
No.
upside young quarterbacks.
I would
Yeah. I
say
still believe
it
it. I still
depends.
love
Phrase
Lance.
it that way.
It depends on. Right now, I'd rather have Levis based on the rumors that
I would
trust.
as well. But
Based on what I trust, I'd rather have Levis. If those rumors don't pay off and Levis falls in the draft, then I'd rather have Lance.
Yeah,
But you know, right now I'm projecting. I still think that Levis is going to be the fourth quarterback taken. I don't buy all of it, all the smoke. I really don't buy it. I think Levis is going to be the fourth quarterback taken. I still just feel like it's not that hard. I feel like Carolina's going to pick Young. Houston's going to pick Stroud, despite all of this nonsense. And I actually think that, you know, we're going to talk about this. It's the last news item. Ryan Tannehill may be traded. There's a lot of smoke from Tennessee that they're moving on from Ryan Tannehill and that they're done with Malik Willis.
Yeah, they soured on Malik Willis.
Well,
I
that would
think-
be, they're trading up then at that point.
Right. I think that
They have to.
I think Tannehill will be moved in a separate transaction.
Yeah.
But I think that, or maybe not traded at all. Maybe they keep him bridge quarterback. I think that Tennessee has their eyes on Anthony Richardson. I do. I think they do. I think Tennessee, for them, I think Anthony Richardson is their one. I think he's their one. I think he's the one they want. He's the one. He's their quarterback one. They have their eyes on him. And I think that if they have a deal worked out with Arizona at 3, I think. A deal is already done. It's done. I think it's done already. If Richardson is there, I think the deal is already done. I think it's going to happen. We've heard too much smoke from Tennessee, this constant smoke of moving up to that.
The
pick.
trade rumors between like Arizona and that pick have died down. It may be that like a trade was already.
No, but
completed.
Tennessee was the only team that was really formally linked to that.
The
pick. We
Raiders
know
were there.
They were there, but we know that Tennessee had a specific conversation because the
Yes.
general manager talked about it. The general manager is he's very interested in moving up to the number 3 pick. And we know that. So I do think there's a chance that happens as a start to the draft, not before, but during the draft. I think it happens.
Traylon Dirks, dynasty managers be afraid.
I mean, what they have is not better. I mean, the only way for it to be better for Treylon Burks is if somehow they trade up and get Stroud. That would fix everything. But the current situation is very unpleasant.
I'd rather have Tannehill over Richardson.
Man, Tannehill was in decline last year. I mean, he was in decline. I mean, heavy decline. He looked awful. And now another year coming.
Long term,
After a
give
lot
him
of
Richardson
injuries.
to grow
I don't
with.
know. I don't know about that. Tannehill was bad for most of his career.
Yeah, long term,
Really-
sure, Richardson maybe but the first couple of years are gonna be brutal.
Ooh, I don't know. I think this is going to be a rude awakening for Tannehill this year. He looked cooked last year, and now we're turning 35. His legs are giving out.
Easy.
Do you
Oh, you got an old guy.
do you want a year of decline of Tannehill and then try to answer that quarterback question in 2024?
Well, that's
And
why I
Treylon
think they're
Burks
trying to
would
move
never
on
be
now.
older.
You know?
Crash for Caleb. Crash for Caleb.
Well,
But
let's
then
see.
you still have the growth and development of Caleb Williams still in the
Problem
NFL.
is
He's
that
not
I don't
gonna
think
step in.
The Titans have depleted their roster,
is he?
but I still
really
think
have.
they're not the worst. I don't think they're the worst.
No.
I'm not sure they're going to be that bad. I think
They still signed
Arizona
Jeffrey Simmons, though.
Arizona is top of that list.
Thank goodness.
Arizona is high on that list for the worst.
I don't know if Ryan got that one.
What about this? Josh Allen and 110 or Lawrence 106 and 112. This is not good enough. I want more than that if I'm trading Josh Allen. It's Allen.
Agreed.
That one's close for me because the 106 that's a tier break. That one's actually close for me, but because I love Lawrence, I really do. Lawrence is like someone I'm super
do
high.
I,
It's,
but
it's close.
Allen's already done everything you would want Lawrence to do.
And you're left with the leftovers at 106. You're not getting your guy that you want.
Yeah.
Well, it's
If
still
it
one of
has
the
to-
top guys.
What about
Yeah.
this one? Lance or Love?
Love.
I want Love.
I'll take. I don't know why. I'd rather have Lance.
Yeah, you know,
Lance
I
too.
answered that too quick because now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I feel like
Yeah,
Lance has the
has
higher
so much more
upside.
upside. Oh, so not even close. Yeah.
I mean, Love was a horrific prospect. Sat 3 years. and
Love
didn't.
wasn't good. Yeah.
Okay,
I want the
horrific
quarterback
is
who's actually going
harsh.
to play this
Yeah,
year.
it was a little harsh.
He's still a first round pick. You know.
I think he might. I think that was probably generous,
Yeah, possibly.
but it's about right. I think he was probably went about 10, 15 picks too early for my taste. I don't think I would have given him a first round grade. Whereas Lance, definitely I would have given a first round grade. I still think he went too early, but he was probably 10 to 15 grade for me. Whereas Love was probably 35 to 40. And neither of them have done anything. So why wouldn't I? I guess I'm going to go with the one who was a better prospect originally and who's actually been in the NFL shorter. Yeah. Okay. JSN or Devonta Smith? Smith, I think.
Smith.
Smith. That's
I'd
close.
lean Smith.
Close.
Yeah, it's close.
I'd lean
might
Smith.
lean
I mean,
JSN, but
gonna
it's
be good. Jason's gonna be
close.
Jason's gonna be excellent.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it depends on the landing spot. I mean, if he goes to Houston with Stroud, I think it's
Oh my
close.
goodness, that'd be insane.
Yeah, if he goes to Houston with Richardson or no quarterback or Levis, then maybe not. We'll see. I would lean Smith though. Still think the Cowboys take a tight end in the first round? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I've never really budged on that. I thought they'd take a tight end in the first round the whole time. Once Bijan at 26 was not really an option. Yes. The answer to this question is yes. For now, I think their preference is Michael Mayer, but I don't think Michael Mayer is going to be there. This latest mock here has them with Dalton Kincaid.
I like that fit. That's a good fit.
It is a good fit. They really need like that pass catching option. Don't Kincaid.
I think if Mayer or Kincaid were there, they would take him. If they're not there, then they're not going to take them. I don't think they're going to take another tight end in the first round.
I do like, and this is a little controversial, but Sam Laporta is actually my favorite tight end in the class. I'm definitely
Really?
the only person who thinks that. But
Wow.
Yeah, I don't see that one.
Wow.
I like
Yeah,
Sam Laporta a lot.
see that name
I actually
personally.
think Sam Laporta is the tight end, and I think he's very undervalued. I think as the tight end 5 this year is comparable to Trey McBride as the tight end 1 last year, but he is my tight end 5.
He's my 5 as well. I do like him, but
I
number
think
one,
this class
number one,
has
lot.
2 tight ends that are significantly better than the tight end 1 last year. And then, I think, I don't know. I mean, Tucker Kraft at tight end 6 is not that much worse than I think Trey McBride was last year.
No, I agree. It's a loaded, deep tight end class. I don't know if you have like the high end options, but I think it's there. You got a lot of guys.
There's no Brock Bowers in this class.
Right.
There's no Brock Bowers in any
Yeah.
class. Kyle Pitts
Yeah.
included.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I always say the only exciting thing about Darnell Washington's film is Brock Bowers. The only exciting thing on there. There's nothing else. But Brock Bowers, I was like, I don't do Debbie. I think I've said this on the show a zillion times. I don't do Debbie. And I did the Darnell Washington article for DLF. There was nothing there to write about on the film, to be honest, other than a lot of nice blocking. He did very well with that. But I noticed there was this other player. All of a sudden, he was always open. And there were big plays. Even though the video wasn't about him, I was like, that's interesting. Who's that? And then I looked into his numbers, and I was like, oh, this has to be a mistake. This can't be right. College tight ends don't have 13 touchdowns in their freshman year.
And
But apparently it was not a mistake.
dominant since he stepped on, like we talked about,
That
with, like, guys
is-
like CeeDee Lamb, dominant from the second he stepped on the field as a freshman.
Yep.
It's insane. 18-year-old tight end, 13 touchdowns. That's going to be a lot better. That's a lot better statistical profile than Kyle Pitts. And Kyle Pitts was one of the best tight end prospects ever, receiving wise. Brock Bowers is twice the prospect over his first 2 years. So we'll see what he does in year 3. But this could be
Special.
crazy that it's going to go to that point.
It really could. Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know enough about Drake May to talk about him. Tua Lamb. I'll take the Tua Lamb side. Just looking quick. Yeah, I'll lean that way.
Same. It took
Lean
a
that
second
way.
to digest that.
Yeah. Keep it up. I appreciate that. They don't need to. But I think Meyer or Kincaid would be worth it. I don't know about that. All right, so we covered all of the news. We didn't cover any predictions, but I feel like we talked. Actually, I'm looking at the list of players I wrote up for predictions. I think we talked about most of those.
We did really.
I think, yeah, we did. We covered almost all of them.
Did.
We talked about Quentin Johnston. I do think he goes to the Giants. And yeah, we talked about pretty much everyone here. The one player we kind of left out completely, we didn't really talk much about Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think,
Ooh,
I love him.
Gibbs.
But where do you have like a predicted
yeah.
landing spot for him?
I think he's a guy that ends up going back end of the first round. So I could picture Cowboys, Bills, Bengals, all those teams taking him.
Chiefs.
I mean, even Chiefs.
I think Chiefs get him.
I mean, the Eagles at 30, if he's sitting there, I mean, you wouldn't love that Hutch? Like, I feel like that would be a dynamic piece.
I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't think he necessarily fit that offense, though. I feel like they want, like, I don't know how much he'd fit in that offense because Jahmyr Gibbs is somebody that's going to be a premium pass-catching running back, and the Eagles don't necessarily need that because Jalen Hurts is going to run the football every time he sees pressure. He's not really dumping off a ton. I feel like Bijan Robinson or like a more physical running back would fit that offense so much better compared to Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs would do much better in a Kansas City offense or Bengals offense where they need the running back to catch passes, where they favor that. And especially in Kansas City where you have Isaiah Pacheco there to grind out some carries, take some work. Like that would be the dream. And I think it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, it'd be like it's like McKinnon, but on steroids, kind of.
Like 100%. That's exactly what it is. It's Jared McKinnon, but on steroids. That's like couldn't be described better.
Why do people think Gibbs is going to be better than Swift? Because what Swift has done in his career is Gibbs' floor, if healthy.
Yep, exactly.
That's Gibbs' floor. That's the worst case scenario.
Gibbs can do that in a timeshare better than Swift can do it in a timeshare.
I would say Gibbs' floor. There's a situation that I don't think is ideal, but I could totally see happening. 41 to Tennessee.
Ugh, ew.
Hate it, but
no, that'd be so
Derrick
bad.
Henry's last year of his deal. Gibbs is actually a good compliment for Derrick Henry for year one, and then move on from Derrick Henry after year two.
Yeah,
or for year two.
That's so.
I can see that.
So
especially,
but not if Tennessee has to spend up to go up.
Richardson is going to run all over the place and not dump off the football. That'd be.
I didn't say that was a fit I liked.
No. I know it's not.
I just say it could happen.
Possible. Yeah, I would. I'm just saying I would hate that.
I like 28 to Cincinnati for Gibbs.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna break something down for you guys real quick, and I did a tweet on this a long time ago, back in February, about Jahmyr Gibbs, and it's a pretty interesting stat. So if you go back to 2022 and you look at running backs that met the criteria of 100 carries, so 5.9 or less per game, which is pretty low volume, and 4 targets per game, Eckler, McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Ramondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones, Mixon, Fournette, Kamara, Connor. All of those guys were top 20 backs. 6 of 9 were top 10. 7 of 9 were top 12. All were top 20. You start getting deeper and deeper, and I think what you look at for him is with numbers like that in 2021 even, there were 10 guys that fit that criteria. Eckler, Harris, Kamara, Fournette, Swift, Jones, Cordero Patterson, Jacobs, Barkley, Edmonds. All but Saquon and Edmonds were top 5. Gibbs, to me, 6 carries a game, 4 targets a game. That's a lock for me for him to hit those numbers. And I think you start looking at like what that floor looks like. And Field Yates did a really nice analysis on this. That's kind of where I started digging into that to start off with. But it's such a low floor when you say, okay, all these guys ended up being top 20 backs in 2022. You go back to 2021 and almost all of them were, other than Saquon and Edmonds, and Saquon was coming off that ACL injury. That's a pretty good floor to say like he's a guaranteed top 20 running back, and most of those guys finish at the top of the PPR league. So I just feel like DeAndre Swift doesn't give you that upside.
I mean, we know I don't like DeAndre Swift.
Oh yeah. Well documented.
Lions fans sometimes I say are up there, coming after me. They yeah, I don't know.
They've been told their players are shit for years. They're used to it.
That's true.
There's like, you're probably right. Fine.
There's no chance of this. I think Anthony Richardson is not going to be out of the top 5. I think if he's there at Seattle for 5, I think they take him. I don't even think that happens, but I think they do. I think it's
a good fit.
I do. I actually think it's a great fit. Good weapons. Not necessarily good for those, for DK Metcalf, but it's good fit for him. Good
and
running
he doesn't
back.
have to start right away.
Good running back who's not reliant on catching the ball. Really good fit.
I saw something interesting from some Patriots fans. Patriots are in love with Zay Flowers at 14.
I've heard that a lot.
But also the Packers might have just jumped from 15 to 13 over the Patriots to draft.
They might have done
Zay
it just
Flowers.
to draft him. Yep.
I keep hearing that the
JSN.
Packers
What
are
about
interested in
Jason
trying to
Mason?
get to JSN, but they might need to trade up again in order to do that.
If they want JSN, they're gonna have to trade him again. Yeah, that would.
Well,
I'm not seeing them trade up again for JSN, but I could see it just sitting tight and keeping going for Zay Flowers.
I could
would
see the
really
Packers
be
potentially
nervous.
trading up. Philly, I mean, they
My
don't
Christian
really
Watson love would
need
not
anyone.
love that. If they take JSN, Philly doesn't need a wide receiver.
Well, they
Right,
played two
but the
different
Packers
games.
could trade up to 10.
Oh yeah,
with Philly.
yes, they could.
JSN and Watson played 2 different games.
Howie loves trading back.
The Packers also have extra draft capital if they feel like they need a difference maker.
Yeah, they might go for it.
Because JSN's the only difference maker. Okay. Well, I think we talked about all the news. I think we did predictions either formally or informally for all of the players on my list. Oh yeah, all these veterans who could have their dynasty value plummet. We did talk about some of them.
Yeah, we talked about most of them. They all got hit on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this was almost over 2 hours. I mean, I felt energized. It felt better not having the show yesterday. Probably about right. 8 for a ranking for redraft for Hall. 5 to 8 with
Definitely.
the injury.
Yes.
That's
We'll
probably
see
about right.
what reports say.
Aaron Rodgers is going to help. He's old.
Yep.
Dumps off. He's old. I mean, Aaron Jones was always great. He's old. Dumps off. Offense should be improved. I mean, it can't be worse at times. And Hall was great even with Zach Wilson playing. So, yeah. Cool. So yeah, anyone have anything else they want to plug? Especially Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, hey, come find me at WhatGibbsFF on Twitter. Definitely active, especially around the draft time. Been dropping a lot of big board rankings with player profile write-ups, and would love to interact. So just come hit me up on Twitter. WhatGibbs, like Joe Gibbs. WhatGibbsFF.
Hutch or Patrick?
You guys can follow me on Twitter. I'm at HutchinsonB_FF, and I have my own podcast, Hutch Coming in Clutch, so go check that out. And I mean, you can always find my work with DLF, with Football Guys. I am working on a Patreon, which is supposed to post shortly after the NFL draft, which I'm very, very excited for. There's going to be, I was telling Ryan on a Twitter space earlier, but there's going to be a huge NFL auction jersey giveaway to start off the Patreon. So keep an eye out for that. I have a pretty big name, pretty big guy here. So it's going to be exciting.
It.
Nice.
To kick off Patreon.
Ryan
Tune
or
in on
Patrick?
Thursday and Friday. That's all I got.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to.
Yeah, Thursday and Friday for this draft stream. Absolutely. I mean, I'll be around all night. I'm going to be around everywhere. I'm on 4 different streams during night 1.
Yeah, you're doing. I'm only on my own show.
I'm on 4 different streams during night 1.
Damn.
Yeah, I think I'm on 4.
Anything?
I'm good.
Cool.
I mean, I'm not like jumping.
You are.
I'm not jumping streams like Hutch. I'm not like a podcast whore.
Okay.
But
I love that.
Hutch, I love you,
Like-
buddy.
It's so good. I totally accept. I totally accept.
You're like
100%
I'm on
accept.
4 different podcasts.
Yeah. I think so for us here on the
Not
for
all
me,
at once.
you know, if you want, watch the other YouTube
That's a podcast
videos.
gangbang.
I can't. Watch the other YouTube videos that I posted earlier in the chat.
Delete the last
there's-
like 2 minutes of
There's
the
this-
show. In
No,
your
it's
mind.
not being deleted. It's
Everybody.
not being deleted. This is the
No, I'm just
Jameson
telling them
Williams
people.
one, and then this is the Aaron Rodgers one. And then if you want to support me, My Patreon. I am giving it away. No one signed up. I'm giving it away. I'm giving away a free month if you sign up by the end of April. I'm giving it away. Sign up.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it. And then my articles are at DLF. I posted the 101 view from the 101 article in the chat. And then I'll have the streams here. They're linked in the bottom of the show. 7:30 p.m. Eastern starting on Thursday and 6:30 p.m. Eastern starting on Friday. We'll be right here covering every pick as it comes in. And if I'm running out of gas at 2 hours and 15 minutes, I don't know what I'm going to do at 5 hours. But I think I have over 40 guests in total, so it's a lot. You have a lot of different voices on that stream to keep me energized. But yeah, until next time, I will see you all later. Peace.